Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye has friends. No, really, Jeff has friends. Jeff's friends are on this podcast. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship. Jeff Dye's friendship.
Friendship.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Jeff Dye Friendship Podcast with Tony Reavis and Aaron Marsh. Patrons, keep doing you. We respect you guys. We love you guys. Thanks for being here and watching. It makes us very happy. Also, this episode is brought to you by Revolver, which I got to get in the habit of saying. We're super happy to be on the Revolver podcast network. We're very happy about that. Big shout out and love to them. Big shout out and love to all the patrons. If you're listening on iTunes or somewhere else, shoot us a subscribe, shoot us a 5 stars, or give us a little review. We love you guys. This episode is one of our longest episodes because it's just so great. We're joined by Nate Boyer. You might know of him from the whole Colin Kaepernick taking a knee stuff. He was the soldier that told him to take a knee instead of sitting out of respect for the flag, and then things got crazy. He talks about that, but he's also a accomplished actor now, and he's a hero, like a war hero. Green Beret. He was a long snapper for the Seattle Seahawks and for the School Longhorns in Texas, Austin, Texas. Anyways, he's a 49er fan, but we don't hold that against him. He's an awesome guy and one of my neighbors now, which makes me very happy. I've known him for a little while, and so he was happy to do the podcast, and he is the best. I know you're going to enjoy it. Check it out. Here we are. Another episode, Jeff Dye's Friendship. Tony Reavis in the house.
What's up?
How are you feeling, bub?
I'm great. Feeling
Good.
great.
Aaron Marsh, thanks for being here again.
Did they hear that on the podcast when I did that?
No, you got to tell the people what you're doing. All right.
Hand gestures.
Pretend that it's the DJ
Hey,
Demers Deaf Show
Wait a
for blind
second.
people.
If they're on Patreon, they can see this and they
That's right.
love it.
That's
And they're still confused. Like, I don't watch wrestling.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
is this weirdo doing?
I don't know.
Thanks for having me back. I didn't expect you to.
It's good to be. Our guest today, I'm so excited to have you. I was a fan first, then became your buddy. We have mutual friends. We actually have a ton of mutual friends that I found out after the fact. But I'm happy to have you here. American hero, actor, footballer, long snapper, Seattle Seahawk, which is my favorite. My favorite of all of his titles. Some people want me to be more patriotic. I say my favorite title is Seattle Seahawk. Nate Boyer, thanks for being here, bud.
Thanks for having me.
We also,
I like Hero. That's my favorite.
We'll put a lot of audio in. That makes it sound like more
A lot
people
of
were
rock.
Yeah,
classic.
can you make my hands sound taller? I just want my hands to sound like super tall guy hands.
Now, there's at least 40 people here.
Yeah, there's a studio audience, which
it's
we
pretty
don't
sweet.
ever talk about, but thank
Yeah,
you.
all dudes.
Nate's a man of the people. How's your week, man? Thanks for
Good.
coming.
It just started. It's Monday.
I know, but the last week,
The last week was good. I was
Yeah.
in Vegas for a couple days.
nice.
It's
Business or pleasure?
Really hot. It's always a little bit of pleasure in Vegas, but mostly
Same.
it wasn't
I
business.
hate
It was charity work.
Oh, good.
So,
That's
yeah,
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Is that business or pleasure?
I don't. That's
Charity's like it's in the middle.
altruistic
Depends
pleasure.
if you like the charity.
Yeah, exactly.
Which you don't have to say if you
You
like
might
the
not
charity.
like the charity.
Yeah, I
like
did a
that
charity
one.
show, and it was not. It was in Omaha, and it was brutal.
College World
Well,
Series.
now they know
is
if
in
it's
Omaha.
them if they're listening.
Well, no, I had a great time. It's just a lot of pressure on a stand-up comedian to follow a woman who's like crying about how she lost her daughter to a disease, and we're here to raise money for the disease.
You
Like,
MC?
And now, funny man, Jeff died. I'm like, oh god. There's like no way for me to wiggle out of this. Like I don't know what to do.
You're like, I'm dying up
Can
here.
I just give money? Can I just donate what I'm gonna be made for
That
tonight?
was a good joke.
But
you
luckily,
gotta take that job. It's a good one.
take it?
I know.
man.
No, I
It's
would
so
never.
good.
Yeah, I can't. I like it now. They wouldn't appreciate it.
Oh, boy.
Is he making fun of Becky? You're like, sort of.
Just all people that are dying.
All death. Just all death. But, so you're doing charity in Vegas. Your career is insane. Like, you literally have done everything, but at a high level, which is fascinating.
Yeah, if a child told me, they're like, oh, I'm graduating high school and I'm going to be a Green Beret and I'm going to play NFL and I'm going to do like acting. I'd be like, no, choose one.
Yeah.
Choose one. And you casually did all of them.
Choose one and good luck.
It wasn't the
Yeah, exactly.
And we say pick a lane on this podcast all the time. Where I'm like,
Pick a
I didn't
lane,
bother
yeah.
with learning. I just did comedy.
Yeah, it's so hard to do any of these. And you're like, I think I'll just be a professional.
But like, I mean, high level, but not for a long time. You know
Sure.
what I mean? So if it was comedy,
Green
I would
Beret,
like,
did
I would
it.
like get
I'm
there.
out.
I get to do my one show at the Comedy Store, and then
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm done.
Yeah, I sold
What's
it out.
next? Yeah, yeah. Moving
Is there a
on.
reason for that, or is it just that's how your life's
I don't
gone?
know. Yeah, I don't know. I like change, and I feel like it's like every 5 years or something ish.
Yeah.
You know, I just want to try something new chapter, and it's always what I've done before has sort of led me to the next thing.
Sure.
You know what I mean? But I mean, initially, like when I was in high school, and I wanted to be an athlete. I wanted to play sport. I love sports more
Nice.
than anything. Wasn't, no scholarship offers anywhere. So
Oh, really?
like,
Wait, so you're
not
playing
in the
college
cards.
football?
What's that?
You're playing college football?
No,
I'm sorry, high school football. In high school, what were you playing?
actually, I did not. I never played football in my life till I went
Oh,
to
wow.
Texas.
You're
So,
kidding.
never.
So what were the sports you were playing
Played
in high school?
baseball.
Okay.
Giants fan, Warriors fan. So I played basketball, baseball. But football was always my favorite to watch. I was Joe Montana 2 years in a row for Halloween when I was like 5
Nice.
and 6.
Which, no
just
disrespect,
never
pretty
played.
lazy Halloween costume. Pretty lazy. Because you had the jersey and you're like, I'll do
that's all you
this.
gotta do.
Eye black.
Time to get some
Wrangler
candy.
jeans.
Yeah,
Helmet.
but
Hey,
you're-
helmet.
Okay.
Hey, helmet.
But you already had those things at your house.
No, he was autograph signing
I mean,
Joe
what else do you
Montana,
wear
so he was
those?
just
You know what I
jeans,
mean?
polo.
But like I wore like football jerseys to school all the time.
But I had pads.
And
I
then
had
for
everything.
like then for
Come on.
Halloween, I'm like, maybe I'll be like a zombie Ricky Waters. And they're like, Jeff, that's just the
That's a
jersey you
great
wore last
idea.
week. But you put blood on your face. I'm like, yeah, but I'm Ricky Waters, also white guy, and a
Yeah.
zombie.
Well, you're pale because you're dying.
Yeah, but that could be. I wasn't that smart. I was just
Yeah.
like, I'm a white
No
guy
blood
who is
left.
Ricky Waters with zombie blood. Okay, so you played baseball. Did you do wrestling?
I did not. My dad wrestled in high school and he was
Nice.
really good. And he played football. My little brother wrestled through high school and then wrestled at Penn out in Philly.
So you had a whole family full of athletes.
Yeah.
In the penitentiary, huh?
Yeah. Naked.
Naked?
Mud wrestling.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
In
the
the
worst
pen.
thing to be
That's
in
pen.
prison.
Dude, that's
Yeah,
part of the pen.
no way.
Dude. You should have done the time.
Wait, so when you were playing high school sports, were you excelling in these high school sports?
I mean, I was pretty good. It was like all league, but
Yeah.
in not a competitive league. So
Okay.
like I said, no scholarship offers.
Very humble.
Very honest.
I
like,
think about
not that good.
I think about that a lot.
Hard
Like,
worker.
we went to a big high school, so we were in a big division.
Oh yeah.
And I played baseball and didn't get any offers or anything. But I was like, man, if I was in a small town and I played
sure.
like 1A baseball, I would hit like 90 home runs.
Absolutely.
And like I would have been
Well,
a
also,
stud.
if we would have went to like a smaller high school, and obviously we figured out where we were at sports wise. We grew up in the same area, different years. Obviously, he's much younger. But the I thought like, well, I'm not even good enough to make the baseball team. But we had such an incredible baseball team. They won state like every year. But let's say I went to like Enumclaw, I'd be like the best player on
Yeah,
the
you'd have been a
team,
stud.
and I probably wouldn't have gone pro, obviously, because we know our level of athleticism. But my confidence would have been different. I've been walking around like, yeah, man, I was like
Yeah.
the star baseball player in my
Right.
school. You know,
Right.
like it would have done so much more for me.
Yeah.
You're doing all right.
Yeah, I'm okay.
You did okay. Yeah.
You're hanging in there.
Late bloomer.
Same with me.
Yeah.
Same with me. Yeah. No. So I coming out, I didn't get any scholarship offers. Didn't really want to go to college at the time. So I moved down to San Diego from the Bay.
Nice.
Started working on a fishing boat, and then like when it got too cold to go out on the fishing boat anymore, I did the little bike taxi things down in San Diego.
Oh,
And,
nice.
I was like 18,
That'll keep you
19.
fit for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. But then, so I guess 19, did that for like a year. And then I moved up here because I was interested in the film industry, you know.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it, didn't know what I would be doing. And then I just ended up partying for a couple of years and, doing random stuff until
That happens in this town.
That happens. That happens. Yeah. Happens in a lot
To
of towns,
most people,
really.
absolutely.
Oh yeah, I think I've said this before on the podcast, but when people tell me like, "Oh, I hate LA," I'm like, "You're just doing it wrong. Like this town is incredible. It's incredible." I was just in Norfolk, Nebraska.
I know. We've
You
said
get
it
like
before.
a speeding ticket, and like everyone gossips about it. Like they'll chase you out of town if you get like a DUI. This town, I could get a DUI every night for the next week, and like no one would care or notice. They'd be like, "Thanks for not raping anyone, die." Like that's how it would go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why LA is so great. You know? Just don't rape anybody.
Yeah, it's a
You're
real
good.
weird thing to say that I like about it, but
Yeah, that's true.
I like that no one's in your business.
Yeah, I mean, it's every little pocket of town is completely different. You can meet different people every night. You don't have to see the same person twice, probably ever.
Yeah,
I
you
try
go
not
through a
to.
breakup, you never see the person again, and you're in the same city. It's amazing.
That's true. Yeah. So and then 9/11 happened, and I didn't join the military right away, but it got me thinking about stuff differently, and I started traveling a little bit, and a part of it too was honestly probably more of it was the fact that didn't know it, but at the time I think I was probably depressed.
Okay.
I was like paycheck to paycheck, living out of my car sometimes, just no clue what I was doing, no direction or anything. What happened? What I missed?
just
You
fist
said
bumped
paycheck
poverty.
to paycheck,
fist
and they were
bumped.
like, yeah, respect.
That's our life.
We could someday be Nate Boyer. You gave
You're on
them
the right
hope.
track,
Even
man.
with that sentence, you give hope to people.
That's right. Just move into your car for a minute, and
I can't even do that. I don't even have one of those.
We
And then-
both lived in cars before. That's interesting.
And I should try to live in an Uber. I'm like, all right, now you go home, you get out. I'm gonna sleep here for the night.
Do you mind if I crash? They're
how
like,
old are
no,
you?
that's not a...
I'm 36.
you can still join the army. You just need to get a waiver.
Yeah, dude.
No,
You could
Just
be a
do
hero.
that.
Can you do it with
Would you
Star
get a
Wars
bonus?
tattoos and
Yeah.
stuff?
I don't think the military cares about tattoos.
No,
They don't?
They'll encourage more. You got to
Exactly.
fill the other arm up.
They're like,
I noticed there's nothing on your neck or face.
So you probably haven't been to prison. Probably.
yeah.
I've never been to prison.
Okay.
He
I don't
has
like
a...
looking up and down like, you've probably
Well,
been
you
to
have a lot of
prison.
tattoos.
Probably haven't.
He said have it. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. I would not survive in prison.
You can't go to the prison
cubbish.
when you are as adorable as Aaron Marsh, and he has a brave little toaster tattoo. They would kill this
Just inviting.
guy.
Oh my God.
Speaking of rape,
Yeah, I'd be someone's cuddle buddy.
Oh yeah, you would
For
be
sure.
target number one.
Yeah, no one's going to look at me and be like, he's going to overpower me.
Someone could get a lot of cigarettes for that body.
Yeah.
get in a fight the first day. No.
No, I'd lose that fight. I would show everybody my cards or lack
First day,
thereof.
I would say you just do something so horrific that they put you in the hole, and then in the hole
Yeah.
you're locked up alone, and you'll go crazy, 100%.
safe.
But at least while you're crazy, no one is just sexually assaulting you over and over.
Except yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we're off track. This happens, you know.
It's all right.
So 9/11 happened. You start thinking of different things.
We have skated past 9/11
Everyone's
twice
laughing
already.
about 9/11.
Well, we all know.
Exactly. You're just like-
not a lot of yucks, Aaron. There's not a lot to talk about.
No, but it was also, both times it was brought up, it was like, there was almost no warning. Because it was just like, yeah, and then I was a bike messenger, and then 9/11 happened. As if like,
It was
as
a
if
very
we
good-
knew the timeline already. We didn't know the timeline.
It was a timestamp. Yeah,
Exactly. And there was just like 9/11. I was like, oh, okay. Oh,
startled them now.
exactly. And then you went all Pat Tillman.
No, man, I wish. See, that guy's that's
Oh,
a
yeah.
real hero, man.
Yo.
That is- for what he gave up, I didn't give up anything. You know what I mean? Like I did. He gave up a lot more than I gave
No,
up.
that's true. And I'm not taking away your hero-ness or his hero-ness, but you're both achieved hero things
Yeah.
that I didn't do.
For sure.
I was old. I'm your age.
I guess what we're getting at
9/11
is
happened
shame
to
on
me, and I
Aaron.
just went back to the cafe.
Shame
Yeah.
on him. That's
Come on,
what I
man.
say.
Get it together, Aaron.
Just
You
a
got to
bad
do something.
person.
At
Sometime.
least I have a lot of stuff, you know. Aaron
Yeah.
didn't even.
I still have, and I still have
accumulate
time.
stuff.
So
Yeah, he's tough.
I still
He's
have
very
time.
young.
I still have
You
time.
can get tons of stuff. Be a hero.
Either or both.
Yeah, whatever you
Do
want.
both.
Wait, so how long after 9/11 were you like military time?
It didn't like 3 years.
3 years.
Yeah. I still lived here for the most part. I was actually working with autistic kids, like as a big brother.
Nice.
And I was actually paying pretty good. It was kind of weird
That's interesting.
for not having a degree.
Did they ever
in any
hire
of
any
that.
little brothers?
What's that?
Nothing.
Never hire little brothers.
Wow. Big little. This is my big little brother.
Absolutely. Hey, carry me. Let's go up the hill.
Yeah. So I started traveling a little bit and getting out of my comfort zone, just seeing the world, and ended up. I guess it's 2004, and I was back here. Every time I came back, I just couldn't wait to leave.
Sure.
And it wasn't because I didn't like this place. I just was, hooked on exploring and all that. And so I'd come back and I'd fall back into the into the party life or whatever. And it can be dangerous and,
course.
spiral quickly. And
Wait, tell me something dangerous.
no. My mom might listen to this. I don't want to break any more hearts.
Yeah.
And I've already broken.
Oh, it's
Okay.
also in the past. It's over.
It's in the past.
I get it, but a party story sounds fun. There's the hint.
You got it. There's no camera on me, is there?
Nah.
No, I made
we're
the
good.
noise.
Oh, yeah. What noise?
Exactly.
White noise.
There we go.
So, anyway. So I was coming down off a bad night in this is probably September or October of 04. And this Time magazine article about the Darfur, about like the genocide happening in Sudan. One of my buddies, he had been like an assistant photographer for this guy that went over there with Time magazine. Obviously, he's a prolific war photographer named Jim Nakwe. He took these incredible photos. I was like reading the article, looking at the pictures, and hadn't slept that night. And I was just like, I gotta go do that.
It's great.
And so literally went to the AAA over in Burbank and bought a ticket to Chad, which is a neighboring country of Sudan, to the capital city called Jamena. Flew over there with like no clue what I was doing, no contacts. I wasn't with an NGO or anything like that. And I
You
just
just
like,
with a Time magazine in your hand to like, I'm
pretty
here.
much, is this?
I'm here to help.
Yeah.
Where do I find that?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty. No magazine, but yeah, pretty much. Like I had like my bag. I had like a change of socks and boxers and a toothbrush and malaria pills, and like that was
Wow.
pretty much it. And I just talked to people in the airport when I landed and found somebody that was speaking English and was like, how do I get out to the refugee camps? Or like, you have to like be with an organization. You have to, go to the police checkpoint and, get this sort of, I don't know, stamps and all stuff I
Sure.
didn't have. And I had a visa to get over there and obviously a passport, but you can't really leave the capital to go to the refugee camps without approval or without being with an organization. But I found this little Chadian man that was like, had the manifest for the UN flights going out there. And I just made up a story, said I got robbed in Paris. I was supposed to be with so-and-so organization. And
Nice.
I don't have anything, but I mean, I'm an American and I don't have a camera with me. Like,
Sure.
what else would I be doing?
You're
here?
lying to do good deeds.
Yeah, it's
I like
great.
that.
Yeah.
Like, how can I cheat my way into doing a good thing?
Yeah, it's mischief for all the right reasons.
all the
Absolutely.
right
Like Han
reasons.
Solo.
Like who?
Han Solo, he's a character in Star Wars.
Oh.
We'll talk about that later.
Never heard of him.
I don't know.
Literally never heard of him.
Yeah.
Those movies came out when you were at war, I think.
Oh God. Okay. So yeah, he bought it and like there was one seat open on the flight that morning. And so I got on the plane, flew out there and then, got interrogated and all that crap once I was out there, but they let me volunteer for a couple of months and
It's great.
completely changed my life. I mean, just those people, like it's all women and children. All the men were killed or off fighting. All the women had been, you could imagine. And the kids, I mean, some of them had been like maimed, like horrible
Oh, my
stuff. And they were
gosh.
just like happy to be alive.
Yeah.
And the part that really kind of moved me was they all wanted to meet this American guy that, was there because their idea of, streets paved with gold or whatever. And which it pretty much is compared to a place like that. And so I sort of gained my patriotism over there. I felt like
Sure.
really proud of where I came from. And, I was also blown away by how generous all the people there were and just friendly and open. And it's why I joined the military. It made me want to go
You
fight for
became
people
Captain
like that.
America.
Sergeant Slaughter.
I like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's way more up my
So you
alley.
called the
anyways.
kids
I
maggots?
was enlisted. I wasn't an officer.
I love
Yeah.
you, maggots.
No, the kid literally has maggots. Don't call him that.
Yeah. That's why I call him that.
That's why.
Oh, that's so
Maggots.
cute.
Yeah, it matches.
Look at the cute maggots.
All right, so then you joined, and then I mean, you
I
can't
came back home.
be like a Green Beret reserve. I mean, you killed it. You did like they were like, this guy's a specimen.
Well, so at that time, this is end of 04, beginning of 05. It's like the surge in Iraq. And so we have a lot of troops deployed and they're trying to bolster special forces ranks.
Mhm.
And so one of the ways that they did that was they offered this contract called the 18 xray contract where you could come in off the street. Even if you didn't have any prior military service, if you pass like psych eval, language aptitude test, like a, Wonderlic type, like, IQ test,
Sure.
physical tests, all that stuff.
Is there a height requirement?
I mean, are you a legal midget?
No, I'm an illegal midget.
Then you're good, because
That is my
affirmative
favorite
action.
question anyone's ever asked me. And it came with authority.
Yeah.
It's a
No,
serious question.
he's not a legal midget.
Oh, that sucks.
Little too tall
You
to
get a
get
lot
that
of breaks
money.
on stuff, I would think.
Yeah, you get money.
Get money. They just
I'm
pay
not
people-
even close to being a
Are
legal
you
midget.
They just hand you a check. I mean, these streets of gold,
Little-
maybe not,
little-
but
little
we're paying
coins,
midgets
little
everywhere.
Yeah, in this
Coins.
city, I definitely would have a manager, and they'd be putting me on little TV shows where I dress stupid.
I will
Yeah.
say the first night I formally met you, there was a little person there, a dwarf as he calls himself, Brad Williams.
Yeah, yeah.
And he was sitting in his wife's lap, and I couldn't get over it. I wouldn't drop it. I've known Brad Williams my whole career. I love him to death. He's a great friend and a good guy. But I'm not real comfortable with a little person sitting.
I was sitting right next to you when that happened.
Yeah.
We both looked at each other like,
I was not happy.
so we have to stare at this and not say nothing?
Yeah, you just act like it's regular. I couldn't handle it. I was literally at the bar going, why is this happening to us?
I've had an easier time staring at the sun.
Like, seriously, it was crazy to me. And she's like, they're like kissing, like holding hands. Like, well, he's on. It was,
Wait a minute.
It was. I mean, they're in
that's too
love,
much.
but also, come on,
There's a limit.
it was weird.
She wasn't dressed like Mrs. Claus or anything.
No,
That would make it more acceptable.
I would understand that.
Yeah, this is just a weird fetish thing they got going on.
That is the hardest part about 2018. We live in in my opinion, the best times where like you can just be anything. You can have
Legal midget, illegal
You can
midget.
be a man with a beard and wear like a dress into the coffee shop, and no one's gonna say anything to you. But it is hard to act like that's regular. Like it's hard for me to not.
When you look at them, they look at you and they're like, what?
Yeah, they're like, whoa, what are you staring at? Like, oh, come on.
Yeah, for the last 150 years, that's what we called the bearded lady. It was a circus attraction.
Right.
And now it's a thing where you have to be like, no, that's just Barb. That's how she goes about her business.
Exactly. I'm fine with Brad Williams sitting in the lap of his full-grown wife. Me having to
Full-grown. A full-grown lap that he had to sit down.
But for me, it's real hard for me to act like I've seen it a million times. It's
Yeah, I
tough.
still want to bust his balls for it. Is that too
Man,
bad?
it's fun, man. It's a good world, but it's hard. That's
He'd
the hard
bust
part.
my balls if I was sitting in
Yeah,
someone's lap.
We tease Aaron for being short all the time. He just is
Yeah.
like, this is my life.
Yeah, that's part of what I have to deal with.
Yeah.
Every time I sit in Jeff's lap, people look at us and ask us
At the coffee
questions.
shop. Now
and
we do it.
have to. Yeah,
Look,
exactly.
no one's staring, and I feed him French fries.
You better not. Don't you dare stare. Oh, God. Feed him a
All right,
French fry.
I don't even know why that happened.
Why did
but
that happen?
You said something about where were we at?
You were talking about the requirements needed for you to join
Oh,
the
yeah,
army.
and then you
and then
asked if
I
you
made
could-
a dumb joke, and then we started making good jokes.
So they saw you. They had the contract for.
Oh, yeah. They had the contract. So, yeah, that had just opened up, I think, a year before. Because I didn't know what I wanted to do in the military. Honestly, my last week in Africa, I got really sick. I got malaria. And
Oh, no.
I was like, was coming out of both ends. And I was bedridden.
How do you get
It's
malaria?
bad.
Foods, human
Mosquitoes.
contact. Oh, bugs.
Yeah.
You had sex with mosquitoes, huh?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. You just picture a giant mosquito.
Slim pickings out there.
You got to do what
That's
you got
my
to do.
cross to bear. We've all got it.
Exactly. Hey, it's all right, man.
He said he wasn't gonna mention it because his mom's listening, but he had sex with a giant mosquito.
No, it's regular size.
That's the trailer right there for this episode. All right, so you got malaria, very sick.
Yeah, so they this amazing family out there that was chatty, and they weren't at the refugee camps. They were this is back in the capital. They put me up in their place, and they gave me I had this little room with like a cot, and they had a radio, and they put the radio in my room, so I had something to like listen to because I pretty much quarantined from everybody, and I was listening to they had the only station you could get was BBC radio, and it was like the first Battle of Fallujah is like going on. So I'm listening to like play by play of that. And, it really was like, okay, this is definitely what I'm doing. Like this is a sign or whatever. But I didn't know what I was going to do because that was the Marines for the most part that were in that battle. Other units as well, but that was the main effort. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll be a Marine. I came back to the States and was like looking stuff up, reading about different, the different branches of the military and the different units and what they did. And I started reading about the special forces, the Army Special Forces, because another magazine article was talking about this program, this 18 X-ray program, and how they're bringing in people off the street that didn't have prior service because they're looking for not only the people from the regular Army that become Green Berets, but people that have different experience that maybe didn't join at 17, 18 and kind of think outside the box maybe a little differently and have some other. I mean, there was people that left jobs on Wall Street and stuff like that to go become, Green Berets. And it was really interesting. They're just trying to mix that up because.
But also talks about your passion. Like you're bringing people that are like, no, this means something to me.
Right.
Yeah, so and they want that. I mean, you wouldn't want a guy's, I don't know, I just didn't know what to do after high school.
Blockbuster, so why
exactly.
not?
I grew up in Virginia and my parents made me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Or doing it for the college money or whatever.
Yeah, you want someone that's there for the right motives. Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. So, there's most of the guys in the special forces were prior service. A lot of them were infantry or rangers or whatever. And then, but then there was a smaller percentage of guys like me that joined at the right time when this was available and open. And, the reality of it, I don't know what the attrition rate numbers were for people with the 18 X-ray contract, but by far, most of us did not make it. Most of us, went in with that contract, went to basic training, airborne school, and then washed out somewhere along the way. And you still, you're in probably an airborne infantry unit or something like that. You're still doing great things over there. But so it was sort of a recruiting tool, I think, as well from the Army. Be like, you could be a Green Beret, and a lot of guys joined, and I was one of them.
That's incredible.
But the motto of the Green Berets is "De oppresso libere," which means to free the oppressed. And
why
that was
didn't
like
they do
the
it in
main
English
thing. What's that?
Why didn't they do it in English?
I thought this was the American Green Berets.
Yeah.
They're all in Latin, guys.
Oh,
Every
boy.
single motto.
Unbelievable.
So you're not even rooting in the World Cup then?
I'm an American, thank you. And I didn't know that this would be in a different
Well,
language.
thank you very much for showing up, Mr. Nate Boyer.
All right, guys.
It's been a good episode.
Have a good one.
No, okay, so that's the motto.
That's the motto, yeah. And after my time over there, it just made. I was like, I want to free the oppressed. That sounds.
Sure.
I thought Green Beret. I thought of Rambo. I didn't know. And that's an element of what you do, but you're also every mission, and I guess just, it's factual in some of the Rambo movies, but every mission that we do in the Special Forces is by, with, and through indigenous forces.
Sure.
So if we go to Afghanistan or Iraq, we're literally fighting alongside Afghans and Iraqis, with our 12-man team, and you're training those guys, and you live with them and fight alongside them, and they become your brothers in arms as well. It's different. It's different.
Complex, it's not
very complex. Very complex. I mean, in rural Afghanistan, I think the average education level is like 3rd grade.
Right.
But they
Tony's
know how to.
level.
They know how to exactly. Exactly. I could just
it's
tell.
like this
Can you
room.
train me?
Yeah. No. Well, they have special. They have other
he just
skills.
said no again.
They have other things.
Well, you have a lot of things that are all come from great places. So I feel a lot of guilt at this age because a lot of my daily goals are Jeff goals. They're like, oh, how do I get this next thing on my career? How do I get this next thing for my stand-up? How do I get this next thing for TV?
Yeah, but you're entertaining people.
Right, and I ration it that way, and I just try to do different things in my life to know that I'm making a difference. However, I'm noticing a pattern, and I feel that guilt because I grew up in the church, and I originally started with like a servant's heart of being like, I want to recruit for Jesus, and I want to like help people, and so it's hard to now every day wake up and go, my emails, my gigs, my headshot, my tweets. So it's just a little bit of a different change. But you've said a lot of things here that come from a really positive place of like, I felt like there was a sign that I had to help, or I read this magazine and I felt convicted. You flew to a whole different country in arms because you read something that
Pre-recruited.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that's the people we want.
That's the selflessness of
representing us. And then you,
I'm a pretty good guy.
also,
I guess.
you are
pretty good
no,
guy.
sincerely.
Yeah.
But where do you think that comes from? Were you raised in this? Like, how do we make more people like you in a lot of ways? Like,
Well, I did have awesome parents that were very. I mean, my dad and mom, they still both work. My dad works like 7 days a week.
Wow.
Father's Day was yesterday, actually, so it's cool moment. But he's a racehorse veterinarian and loves his job, but he still has to. He gets up at like 5 something in the morning every day, and like goes to work, comes back, comes home late, and
Wait, what does he do
on
for a
his
living?
feet all day. Racehorse veterinarian. Yeah.
I appreciate stuff like that. That's one of my favorite things about like not. I will often say, because I moved from Seattle to Los Angeles, I play on a lot of like Republican stereotypes. But one thing I appreciate about like hardworking like Americans is I feel like the work smart, don't work hard thing is kind of backfired a little. It's taught people to never work hard, whereas like we need both.
Yeah,
we
it's
need
true.
to work smart, but we can't scrap working hard. Like usually you have to work hard, and I think that's one of my favorite things about. Dad's probably pretty old, right? How old's your dad?
64.
Yeah, and still working hard. That's great.
Yeah.
Okay, but were they like religious or spiritual people?
Yeah,
or?
yeah, definitely. Both,
Okay.
Very spiritual, very, very faithful people, faithful to each other, faithful to their kids,
Nice.
faithful to and they both, educated at a high level, but their families weren't necessarily educated at a high level. That was all choices they made and, stuff that they worked for and, pay their own for their own education, all that stuff. My mom went to Berkeley and got her PhD in environmental engineering. And, my dad got his veterinary degree from University of Tennessee. And like, they just, so I felt like I had a lot to live up to, I think, and at 23, when I hadn't lived up to anything yet,
Yeah,
it
you
was
just been
like,
partying.
okay,
You're like, maybe I need to.
Yeah, this is not right. And I'm the
What were they
oldest.
thinking at that time? Were they thinking like, oh, Nate,
Yeah.
we'll see him on
probably.
Christmas. Yeah. We love him, but
Yeah, but God, he sucks.
well, not he sucks, but like, time's ticking there.
Yeah.
23.
Yeah,
I
and then by
think so.
28, they're like, oh my God. This guy,
Yeah, he caught up fast.
we should have put so much pressure on him when
Now
he
it's
was
the other
23.
siblings we're gonna start judging a little.
They were my other siblings have killed it the whole way.
That's
They're
great.
Both of
Wait,
them
how,
are,
how many other
awesome.
siblings do you have?
Younger brother and sister.
See, I like to headline the Dia family tree. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm crushing my family tree. No competition. You got your
A lot of
siblings. You
competition,
guys
man.
are
That's
like
why
in
I'm working
quite
so
a
hard.
race.
I'm just trying to win.
You hear
know
their
what I mean?
footsteps. You're like,
Yeah.
hey,
Oh, they're coming.
better be a long snapper. So how did that come? How did football come in after?
I got back from went about 9-10 months in Iraq, and coming home, and it was like I'd been in for 5 years, and I had to make a decision to reenlist, on active duty or what to do. And initially, my plan when I joined was like I just want to do 5 years and then figure it out.
You're a one-termer.
One termer.
Yeah.
Is that a real term?
For presidents.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've never heard that used for presidents either.
Oh, yeah?
A one-termer.
I never
Yeah.
heard the word termer.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. They always say, oh, he served one term, or oh, he only had one term. I think you made up a thing.
Oh, no, I pulled it from a Saturday Night Live skit.
Sticking to his
Oh, well,
guns.
that must be real then. If it's in
Yeah,
a
it's
Saturday
gotta be
Night
real.
sketch.
Yeah, from 25 years ago.
A one-termer.
Yeah,
All
talking about all
go
the
ahead.
one-termers. I'm sorry,
I don't
go
know why
ahead.
I'm
What
debating
Saturday Night Live
this.
skit were you watching from 25 years ago?
It was one where George Bush Sr. was talking about getting reelected, and he was like begging everyone to vote for him because he doesn't want to be a one-termer like those other guys. And then like
that's
those other
funny.
guys are behind him like, hey, what's
It sounds like a W. Bush, or not W. Bush, but like a George Sr. quote.
Yeah.
I'm a one-termer. They're like, that's not real.
Who was playing? Was it he?
It was Carvey. Dana
Oh.
Carvey.
Oh, dang it. I thought it was actually
right,
him
I forgot.
hosting
No,
or something. That'd be so funny.
Dana Carvey was the whole thing.
Because nowadays a president would do that. Like,
Oh yeah, this was way
They're
before
like, oh,
presidents
being
are
on
showing
SNL
up.
will really help with the votes. Like, just go do it. It shows you're funny. All right.
Trump should do it.
Yeah.
He did.
He
During the
hosted
election.
at some point.
Oh, he went on?
He hosted.
Oh, I
He
don't remember
hosted
that.
it?
Yeah, in like 2016.
I don't remember
Oh.
that. I
Yeah,
don't
during
remember
his
that.
run.
Oops.
I've never seen him laugh.
You're not supposed to laugh.
I know, but I've seen every president laugh.
People think
Yeah,
you're hacking.
Obama was funny.
Look at Jimmy
Obama
Fallon
was
laughing
charming.
on the
No,
sketch.
I'm not saying
I'm
in
just kidding. I'm
SNL.
kidding.
I'm saying just in general. Nobody seems to catch it, make him chuckle.
Yeah.
Ever. Never seen it.
He smiles, but
He
no
smiles.
laughing. Yeah.
And the smiles are even like, all right, you got
I
me.
wonder if he ever did when he was with Stern, because they're buddy back in the day in those old clips.
Jimmy Fallon tousled his hair and it didn't make him laugh. I was like, wow.
Oh yeah.
I've never.
Because he
not-
probably hated
I'm
it.
always
That's why he
smiling
didn't
and
laugh.
laughing.
He's
Yeah,
probably like,
exactly.
I got to say yes to this. The nation's watching. He's like, "Please, touch my
Yeah,
hair."
touch my you piece of shit. So you had to make a decision. 5 years.
Yeah. And it's actually towards the end of that deployment, I had about a year left of my contract. That's typically when people re-enlist. When you're a year out, you re-enlist and, they give you cut you a check, especially if you're deployed.
Sure.
It's tax-free. And so everybody, well, not
Right,
a
what
lot
was
of
the
people
size of this
re-enlist
check?
when they're overseas. Not that big.
Oh, okay.
4 figures. It's not very much.
Boom.
No, it's
Oh, my
probably
Lord.
5. Honestly, it probably would have been at that time like to reenlist for like 3 more years would have been like 15 grand. It's not very much. I mean, it's your signing bonus.
Yeah,
You still get paid monthly, but it,
Yeah.
But for a lot of people to join the military, it's a lot of money.
Yeah, especially,
Yeah, of course.
Some people never will see a 15,000. They'll make plenty of money, but they'll never see it in one
Well, it's their
lump.
down payment on a house.
Yeah.
There was really big ones at a time, I guess probably around when I joined, for guys that had been in, I think it was like 14. And if they signed up for their last 6 to get to 20 years, they were like 150 grand. It was like actually big checks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, and also if you think about it, like,
if you're going to stay in anyway.
well, but we always measure it by like, like, oh, college, if you start thinking about that, then it's this much money, and then you're there, so you're not spending the money
150,
necessarily.
like that's like Ivy League. You
But
know what
also,
I mean? Covered.
you could die. Like, it's
Also
nobody
that.
factors that. It's like, well,
But there's a check for that too, though.
yeah, that's true.
Are those bigger?
They're like 250, I want to say.
Worth it.
Jeez.
Did you know how nice my casket could be if I had a $250,000 check?
It's true.
Oh my god!
Just
Any
your-
WWE wrestler I
your-
want
your
would
will.
be my pallbearer. Are you
The
kidding me?
will just says all goes to the casket.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And everyone's like, but I
Pimp
thought,
it.
he's
I
like,
want
he's left
exhibit to
nothing
design.
Yeah, I
behind.
want it to look like a
Casket.
big Jordan shoe. Just slide me in there.
Why's the top of this granite? It's what Aaron wanted. He's a selfish prick. And so, all right, so I want to hear this. Football is puzzling me how it goes from that to that.
Yeah. So I'm like over there. It's like during football season, so to your point, or not to your point, but to jump on something you mentioned earlier about you feel like, what I'm doing is not important or whatever. Super important because, first of all, like part of what we're fighting for is all the awesome shit we get to do here, right? And get an experience. And for me, like football was something I always loved. And I remember being over there and we get back from a mission at 5 a.m. and it's like, we're 9 hours ahead of here.
Sure.
And I'm like watching Monday Night Football and I couldn't wait to do that. Like that's my one thing, my escape. You know what I mean? When I'm over there.
Right.
And a lot of people, it was gaming. It was, whatever, funny movies, all that stuff. Like it really matters. It holds it together for a lot of people.
Sure.
So just remember that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
But it's funny. It's like when we were performing for the troops, so like USO stuff, like it is funny that like they'll be like, oh, we saw the Spin Doctors last week.
That sucks.
And then you're like, well, that's the thing is we'll say like,
thank
you
God
like
you
the
said
Spin Doctors? And they're like, no, but we went and it was great. And because they're they're like,
Oh, I went to,
we're not gonna go.
Exactly. I saw, what is her name? She's the sister of someone more famous.
He is the sister
She
of
is,
someone.
she is the sister of more famous.
Ashley Simpson.
No,
Oh.
you're on the right track though.
It's something like that.
Blonde.
Is it Britney Spears'
No.
sister?
It's like
Jamie Lynn
Janine
Spears?
Perry.
What's the girl's name in Napoleon Dynamite? Which sister is she? What's
Oh, Hillary Duff.
yes,
Yes.
Hillary or Haley, one of them.
Yeah,
two.
one of the.
We saw one of them. I mean, we
Yeah,
went,
but you went,
we
yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
When they were so nice, like, dude, thank you so much. I was like, I didn't even know if like they would like my comedy here. They're like, you have no idea what it means to us. Like, we don't, it's crazy. Yeah.
You make it sound like they would like
Zahn.
if you played the Spin Doctor song.
Yeah, they would. They'd go. Yeah, it was
Steve
weird.
Zahn visited our team house. We had
Oh, nice.
12 guys. I mean, it's 12 Green Berets in this house. And he came out and like hung with us. And
Great.
like, it was really cool. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I think it's
half the
good.
guys on the team had no idea who he was.
Well, I
And
didn't
I made
care.
them all watch Strange Wilderness afterwards. And I was
That
like,
movie has
"That's
Bigfoot
who
in it,
he
by
is."
the way.
Yeah. It's funny. It's funny.
Him and his Bigfoot.
I'm obsessed with Bigfoot. So.
But also, I like hearing that you thought it was cool because that's what makes it worth it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the whole point of the whole thing.
It is cool. Yeah.
Speaking of Bigfoot, if we ever go on that Bigfoot excursion,
Field trip.
we need to bring him along.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Oh, dude, you think you could fight a
I'm
Bigfoot?
trying to pitch, and this will be the first time we've mentioned on this. Sasquatch Chronicles is a podcast that's on the same network, Revolver, and I want to go out with him on like a journey, like on a outing, but bring all of us like a podcast field trip.
Yeah. That'd be good.
Try to track some Bigfoot.
Well, it's,
If we brought you, we'd live.
I feel so safe.
he would.
I am fine with you
We
killing
want
a
you
Bigfoot.
to kill him. Yeah, we don't
Yeah,
care.
because then we pull
Here
him.
he is. Pow.
There we go. That's
Come on,
fine.
man.
Yeah, then
There
we're
we
all
go.
heroes again.
Yeah,
What if
you can
he's-
have the money.
He could be like Harry though, and really nice, and
that doesn't bother me.
I'll kill that too.
You know how many cows and chickens and pigs are nice, and they're just being slaughtered in droves in this country. No one cares.
Yeah,
Who cares what's
Bigfoots have
nice?
ribs.
If they weren't so
If
delicious, I would
Bigfoot were-
care.
Yeah,
a little
exactly.
more.
If Bigfoot was delicious, we'd go, we have to kill it. You know?
we have to.
Oh,
He might
Bigfoot was
be.
delicious. It wouldn't be a mystery. We'd all just be eating it, and we wouldn't even care.
Yeah, it does
we go to
stink, but-
Bigfoot's after this podcast and eat some.
They famously stink, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Famously stink. So, back.
Yeah. So
We're just
football.
itching our way
I
towards
know.
it.
So anyway, that was one of my big escape was watching football. I watched every bowl game, even if it was like, whatever. I don't want to make fun of any colleges, but
I want you to make fun of a
small
college.
And I just sort of, I don't know. I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna get back, and I'm just gonna go to school, and I'm just gonna try and play football, just because I always wanted to do it. And now I'm sitting here watching this, and it's like I'm inspired to do that. So I started training for it during the last few months of my deployment, like changed my workouts, started trying to put weight on. I was out I had no idea what I was doing because I never played before. So
Sure.
I'm like Googling and YouTubing, football drills.
Well, that's great.
And it was fun. It was cool. I went
It's
on
like
a
a
base in
movie.
the desert and freaking trying to learn how to backpedal.
Were other dudes doing it with you, or are they like, Boyer? Look at
Oh,
Boyer. He's
that's
up
the best
early.
part. We only have 12 guys. Like we can't guard the base. We hire Iraqi guards. Like we have these guys. We have one guy up that's like patrolling the camp to make sure they don't mutiny or anything,
Right.
or nothing weird going on. But so they're up in the guard towers, and I'm like, out there like, running freaking out routes.
Yeah, they're like,
And,
that one's a dreamer.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, watch, pull guard. What are you
Looking the
doing?
wrong way.
Yeah, but they're just like looking at me like, what is that guy doing? You know what I mean? It's pretty funny. And then I came back, and I still had 9 months left on my contract, and I had one more trip to Israel, like a training mission with the Israeli Special Forces, and but the rest of the time I was just getting ready for football, and I was living in Colorado Springs where the Olympic Training Center is, and there's this place called the NSCA, which is I think it's a part of that. It's National Strength and Conditioning Association. They were letting guys from my unit come train there if they wanted. So
great.
I went there. They had some former strength coaches from college football teams. And so I was getting a program from them, and I'm just like, I'm going to do it. And it was funny because one of the coaches at the time was like, oh, you should learn how to long snap. And I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, no, not gonna
Which
do
guy's that? Is
Yeah.
that it's not the throwing guy.
Yeah. So, I was like, well, I have to be a receiver at DB because I'm not very big.
Mhm.
And, I was training for that. And then, Texas was the only place I applied. I'd been to Austin before. I loved it. And
Yeah, Austin's great.
At the time, the team was super good. They just been in the net. They just lost Alabama.
Yeah, that's
Been
the
to
part that's
national
kind of
championship.
perplexing is you're like, yeah, I want to try college football, but I only want to try at the top.
Yeah.
And you did. But it's like, it's amazing.
Well, I
that,
didn't
like,
initially think that. Actually, a buddy of mine named Brad Keys, who unfortunately passed away in 2012, he was on my team over there, and he was kind of the guy that was like, because I was like, yeah, I told him because we were best buds, and I was like, yeah, I think I'm going to try to play football, man. And he's like, no way. He's like, what'd you play in high school? And I was like, I never played, man. He's like, oh, dude. Well,
He's like, oh boy. Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I'll probably go to like a JC or a smaller school. And, and he's like, oh, hell no, dude. If you do it, he said, you're a Green Beret. You got to go to a big
Yeah,
school.
absolutely.
You have to. He's like, even if you never make it off the scout team, it'll bother you if you don't. And I'm like, all right, you're right. So, I came back. Texas was in the national championship game the year before. And I was like, all right, that's where I want to go. And, just went down there, and I got out of the Army January 8th. January 9th was my birthday. And I think January 10th was the first day of school, and January 11th was the first day of tryouts. So it was like, they had like spring tryouts too, you know? And I moved down there. No rest. I checked into a Motel 6. That was,
Oh my
for like a month because I didn't know anybody there, and I didn't
They
have time to
probably
look
thought
for
you
a
were like
place.
the coolest psychopath ever. They're like, this guy's like a Green Beret just walking on. He's jacked.
well, this is the beginning of
But
a
he's living
He's
in a
living
Motel
in a Motel 6. It's
Yeah,
insane.
I was making ice baths
Yeah.
the ice machine in the bathtub. Like,
and they're probably
at the-
like 19, 20 years
Yeah,
old.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, it's
Well, they didn't
great.
know. I didn't tell them until I made the team. I didn't talk about any. I didn't want to talk.
okay.
I didn't want, first of all, jinx it, but also I didn't want to, walk out there and be like, oh, because I have no idea what I'm doing in the football world.
Yeah, you
Like,
need their help. You don't want to.
Yeah. I don't want them to see me as like above them or separate or different from them. So, I mean, they obviously could tell I was older. I looked older, and I told them I was in the Army for a little while, and that was enough.
Yeah.
And but yeah, in the tryouts, I mean, it was it was all just like, who's
Wait,
not going to
Did you lie and say you played high school football?
I didn't. They never asked. So
They never asked.
Well, I don't see why
didn't-
it'd be important.
I didn't lie. I mean, like, so all the other freshmen that were like 10 years younger than me, they had to have recommendation from their coach, or referral or whatever, and like tape, even to try out.
Yeah.
And you had to have at least a 3.0. They wanted you to have at least a 3.0 if you're a walk-on. They don't want people that have to deal with academics if they're not on scholarship.
But long snapper,
But for-
like, who gives a shit? Come on
Well,
down.
I walked on as a DB.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I was like the line. I don't even know what a long snapper is. And I figured they were much bigger. You know what I mean? So but for the tryout part, it was literally just, it was like off-season conditioning. So we weren't even in pads. It was just run until you puke kind of stuff. And I was good at that. I was in,
Yeah.
So I could
Right.
hang there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't beat anybody in a 40, but
Did you
I'll
bring
beat
in
you
the
in my
Iraqi
400.
guards?
Oh,
for
yeah.
that?
Yeah. No.
No, okay. There we go.
Immediately flip flopped. But so all those kind of things, like football training for even college, can't be nearly of what you were doing with the strength and conditioning and all the training, and then like the Green Beret, like all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean, the power and speed I did not have compared to these kids, to be honest.
but compared to other DBs, you probably did.
Just endurance wise, I was
yeah.
good. Like
Yeah.
we would, if they go out there and they're having us run 2000s, like the first 500s, I'm not winning, but I'm hanging.
Absolutely.
But the last 5, I'm
Smoking
like
'em.
beating guys by 20
Yeah,
yards
that's
because they're
great.
done. I'm running the same speed on every one.
Yeah.
Just a solid 4.940.
Yeah, you kids
But
are pussies.
I can run a 4.940
All
for
day
like
long.
5 hours
Yeah.
straight.
That's amazing.
So I, the strength coach, his name is Jeff Mad Dog Madden. He's big, D tackle, played at Vanderbilt and had been with Coach Brown for a while. And he just was, he learned about my story. I told him about everything and just kind of was like, I don't want to share with anybody yet. And just he's like, just keep doing what you're doing. You're gonna make it.
Nice.
And it worked out and made the team. I guess the funny story with that, it was actually the first day of the tryout so the way they did the tryout was they put us with the team, all the new recruits or whatever. They put us with the team. We did all the strength conditioning with them, and then they were just 1s and 2s, like weeding guys out through the weeks, every day. It was like, no. But the very first day, it's like the first day back at practices or whatever, and he tells the team outside just to like warm up before we go before we lift. He's wanting everyone to run 6 laps around the stadium, 4 laps or 6 laps. I can't remember. I think it was 6 laps around the stadium, 4 laps if you were a lineman. And so 6 laps,
Well, that's
around the.
nice. That never happened to me.
Yeah.
I had to run just as much as
They got a
everyone
little
else.
break. They got a little break.
That's
Yeah.
great.
Well,
Women
should
and
have gone to
linemen,
Texas.
4 laps.
Thank you.
Everyone else.
Thank you.
What'd you say?
Women and linemen, 4 laps. Everyone else,
Man.
10.
Oh man. So I he says go, and everyone's like jogging because it's 6 laps. It's not, they're just warming up, and I just like sprinted. I went as fast as I could. I lapped everybody.
Yeah, it's like, who's that machine?
Yeah. Yeah. So we get done, and he's just like, y'all know that guy's 29 years old, right? And they're just like, oh. So
They're like quoting Chappelle's show. They're all high. Oh.
yeah, exactly. Probably a good amount of them anyway. But yeah, I just had a pretty good idea it was gonna work out, at least to be on the scout team. And
Sure.
so that's what I did for the first year, man. I was just scout team safety. Got to run down on one kickoff when we were blowing out Texas Tech, and
Nice.
I remember I went up against this like tight end, that was blocking me running down the field or whatever. And I looked him up later. He was a freshman, and whatever. And he had no idea. It was probably his first play too. And I like ran down, and like he like hit me pretty good, and then I just like felt him a little bit off balance, and so I like threw him down. And I'm like 30 yards from the tackle, like nowhere near the play. But like that was cool enough. Like the bench is going nuts. And after that happened, I was like, all right, I have to figure this game out and get on the field somehow. And then the long snapping thing, I was just like, all right, the starting long snapper is a senior, backup's a senior. I'm just going to figure that out and learn that.
And coaches taught you that, or like
YouTube, Google.
Again?
What?
This
I
is
can
it.
YouTube Google long snapping?
You can YouTube anything.
That's
Or you can
awesome.
Google anything. I don't know if
That's
you can
true.
YouTube anything.
What's something we think we couldn't find on Google? Like YouTube, like what's something you want to learn? They're like, there's probably not an instructional video for that.
How to make your own handgun?
Oh, that's gonna be on there.
Is it?
Probably.
Well, that,
For sure.
That would. By the way,
Like
you're gonna
make
be on
your
a
own
list.
out of like sticks or like
Yeah.
I just
With,
spit.
with like 3D printing, everyone can do it.
That's true. You're gonna find the 3D printed handguns.
Make
That's
your
out
own
there.
handgun.
Wait, so
You're gonna
the
get put on
first
some watch
time you
list,
walked
like-
out of that tunnel and it's sold out.
Yeah, that's another cool thing. The very first game.
Yeah, because your first
Freshman
game is
year.
not like small time. This
I'm
is
not even-
like
I'm not even playing the first game. You know what I mean? Like I'm just with the team, but
yeah, but isn't that just incredible? To
incredible. And they
experience?
asked me because
It's like a lot of views.
a lot of views.
Yeah, make your own handgun.
Several videos.
Lots of videos.
Shockingly amount of views.
It
sorry.
is.
They asked me. They always had somebody that had family in the military to lead the team out of the tunnel with the American flag. So like the first game, that's my first game in the stadium. There's like literally 100,000 people in the stands.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Hey, you want to do it?" And I'm like, I said yes, but inside I was like, hell no. If I'd fall or drop it,
I know. You're
like,
on E ESPN.
I'm done, man.
Yeah.
The Green Beret drops the flag on the
Yeah,
ground.
that's
Oh,
not a
man.
good look.
No. So I was more nervous for that moment than ever snapping a football.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like the smoke comes out of the tunnel. I've never done it before.
When you're
I'm
long
like,
snapping, they never give you like an American flag.
No.
They don't ever put a thing.
No,
like
they don't.
That'd be good practice, though.
Well, it's
really
gotta be a great
focus on that
picture of you
snap.
running with
Exactly.
the American flag, though, right?
Yeah, I'm probably just like wide-eyed, like nervous as shit. No close-ups, please. But
Which
yeah, so
would have
I
never
got-
led you down the path with Colin Kaepernick ever.
that-
Oh yeah,
If
no.
you're the guy that drops the,
You wouldn't
return your call if
I
you
have,
drop
I have
the
something
flag.
to say about this. They'd be like, we don't care what you have to. You dropped the American flag coming out.
Long snapper.
We're
more
not
like
surprised
flag
you
dropper.
want to say something, but no.
Oh man, yeah.
That's funny.
So I got to do that every game, which is really, really cool, really
It's awesome.
special. And but yeah, trying to get on the field, trying to long snap. So at that same time, I transitioned into the Texas National Guard, and they had a special forces unit down there, a battalion. And sort of the deal I cut was during the season, you know, they would let me do football and not, I wouldn't have to go to any what do you call them? I should know that. Training. Oh, it's
Okay.
called something else.
Yeah.
It's called something smarter.
We wouldn't know the term.
Yeah, you can say anything.
somebody out there's gonna
Like,
go,
oh,
you do
You're on the right podcast.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe
No military
one
listens to
termer.
this.
You know what I'm saying?
Good.
We don't know. No, forget military. Like the amount of things I describe. What are those things you put over your wiener when you want to not have babies? Like, oh my God.
Underwear.
I think that's it. She said, do you have any underwear?
Oh god.
So yeah, so that happens.
Yeah. So I re-enlist with them, and the deal was though during the summer I'd make myself available, and I volunteered. I mean, I wanted to go back overseas, so every summer I went back overseas. I went to Bulgaria one year. I went to Greece another year.
Sure.
And then the last 2 years I went back to Afghanistan.
Nice.
And on those trips is where I started long snapping. So I was actually, it was when I was over in Greece. I told Coach Brown before I left, I said, Coach, I want to come back and try out for the long snapping position, you know, when I get back this summer. And he was like, yeah, of course, go for it. And, you know, in reality, he thought, no way,
Right.
no shot. And he asked me, he's like, you ever long snapped before? And I said, Coach, I never played football before
I've
I got
done it on
here."
YouTube.
You know, yeah. And,
I YouTubed how to be a long snap with a longhorn.
I'm pretty sure I
How
got it.
hard could it be?
I'm pretty sure I got it figured out. It'll take me 5
I
minutes.
literally became a Green Beret from YouTubing stuff. And I got here from YouTube.
Yeah, you're the best YouTuber of all time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they should sponsor me.
Actually, they should. I bet you could.
I don't know.
Tell your story. They'll do some like TED Talks about it, and you'll be like, you have the world at your fingertips if you just use it right
Just
and stop
YouTube,
playing
dummy.
Candy Crush and Love Balls or whatever you're playing.
But what if I just want to be the best love balls guy out there?
Great game though. I will. That was a free plug for Love Balls.
That's actually a game.
It is a game. It's great.
I don't know. I just yes-anded what he said.
It is a game. It's incredible. But I'm wasting too much time
Yeah,
on
if
it.
you
when I could
wanna-
be learning things like how to make a handgun. or
Yeah, he's
love
not going to
balls.
accomplish anything else on YouTube now that he's going to discover love balls.
Yeah, I don't want to
This is where the
derail
resume
his
ends.
incredible life because of Love Balls. But it's a great game. That being said,
Is it similar to Candy Crush?
It's like there's two
Here we go.
little balls, right? One's pink and one's blue, and they like have
mine
little
too.
faces on them. It's a girl and a boy, obviously. Very traditional
Oh,
love
is
story.
it? Is it?
It is. Yeah, it's
Oh,
a very
that's
traditional
very
love story. She has
presumptive of you.
eyelashes.
Oh, I thought it should
So?
be
And she's
gender
pink.
neutral now.
So
Pink is a woman's color. Only women wear it. That's a joke in case people are idiots.
If you're an
and
idiot, you can
they're
DM
these
me on
little
Twitter.
things,
Oh.
and you have to draw a line that will make them touch each other. And once they connect, it advances to the next level. It's very silly.
sounds really easy.
Super primitive, but that's why it's so addicting because you're just like, which I think that's funny that they advertise as the most addicting game on the iPhone, and you're like, isn't addicting like a negative term? Like you're an addict? Like what?
Yeah.
Oh, it's something I can be addicted to. Like, that's horrible. I don't know.
Comparatively, I mean,
Comparatively,
I like all of my addictions, that's why I keep going back.
I know, but that's never mind.
It's just coffee.
I think you get the point.
Just coffee. Just coffee.
Just coffee.
I do want to talk about the Kaepernick thing if you're comfortable talking about it.
Yeah. We should. Yeah, I guess we're done with that. Came back, won the job.
Yeah, that's the first
What's
thing. When
up?
you
Yeah,
Google
sorry.
you, there's a picture
That's
of you
it.
and him saying next to each other.
Yeah.
It looks super cool, and it's very intimidating to be like, oh, if you Google me, there's just a picture of me looking stupid. There's you looking patriotic
What
as
is the
fuck.
picture of you when you Google you?
What is the first
You know,
image?
I think it's me holding a guitar.
Oh no!
did you steal it?
Yeah, is it the one you stole? Is it Eric Clapton's guitar?
No, it's one I purchased. It was from when I was in a band.
Oh, wow. Oh, we're learning a lot
was the name
about
of the band?
Marsh today.
5'2". That's my height.
What, you named the band 5'2"?
Yeah.
Weren't the other guys in the band like, no, dude, chicks aren't gonna like this at all? They were
No,
fine with
They're
it.
like, I'm 5'4".
no, they
at
were
least.
like, I'm 5'8". I don't know why we have to name it after you.
There was solo shows
Well,
and I
I
had
bought
different
the
rotating
guitar.
people doing it. I was the only actual
he was
consistent
the band.
person.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
The way Lemmy's the only person in Motorhead.
Yeah,
Didn't know
Well,
that.
not anymore.
Yeah. R.I.P. Lemmy.
but yeah.
This is really out of all the things to sidetrack.
it is the first thing
the
that
great
comes
story.
up. It's because that's such a topic now. Because Terry Bradshaw I'm very close with Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
The last 2 times we've went to dinner, people will come up, strangers sometimes loved ones will be like, so what do you think of this whole Colin Kaepernick? Like it's insane because he has to talk about it
I
on
never
Fox
get
like
asked that.
every
Sports.
Sunday. Well, I mean, I imagine it's your life as well. And it's just so strange. It's such an issue now. Like, like the first thing, like I feel like your life is so incredibly interesting. You have a book?
No.
Why
No
not?
book. I don't know.
Has anybody asked you to write one yet?
Yeah, you should definitely have a
just
book.
don't
You'd be
have
rich. Richer.
not
But the...
rich.
Wait, are you rich?
Less poor.
You'd be rich. Your story is interesting enough that people want to hear it, and it's also
It sounds like a great movie.
yeah, it's amazing. But what I was gonna say is, it's such a hot button issue now. Like people like that have no business even talking about the subject are talking about it at coffee shops about like
Yeah.
and they're like, here's my opinion. Well, we don't care about your take, but I think your take for me is very interesting.
It should be the loudest take, and it's not, and that's what's upsetting.
yeah, but I also know what his take is from the internet.
You know why it's
yeah.
not the loudest take?
Why?
Because it's reasonable.
That is true.
If there's any reason, then no,
That's
the
true. It's
not
voices
exciting.
we want to listen
It's
to.
not exciting.
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
sexy, man. That doesn't sell. You know what I
Right.
mean? I mean that. What are the news the channels? Selling advertising spots
Exactly.
and clicks and freaking anger, and I mean that's
Right, rage and
And
chaos.
so if I'm like, let's just calm down and blah blah blah, people are like, oh God, get out of here.
He doesn't get it. Yeah.
He doesn't know
I
what
know,
he's
I
talking
totally
about.
get it.
Wait,
Yeah.
Gross.
But has anything changed for you from the first letter that you wrote to Colin, you
Oh, yeah.
went down and
A
all
lot
that?
of
Like, has
things.
anything changed since that for you personally?
So I'll give a little quick background on that, how that all happened, that moment,
Mhm.
right? So yeah, I get very fortunate to get an opportunity with the Seahawks. Doesn't last very long. I got to play in one preseason game.
Great.
Still a sellout and raining. So I got the whole experience
Oh,
in
yeah.
Century
Yeah,
Link
yeah.
there.
And loud.
And loud. And I got to lead the team out of the tunnel with the flag again.
Nice.
Like
Oh, that's great.
the team asked me to do that, and I was like, yes. So every single game I ever played in, I got to do that. And go out there in the NFL, they play the anthem while the teams are on the field. In college, they don't do that.
Mhm.
Teams are in the locker room. So it was my first time ever being on the field while the anthem was playing too. And probably it was a mix of things. It was like oh my God, I'm in the NFL, playing in the NFL, I'm warming up next to Peyton Manning.
So cool.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At midfield. And the anthem starts playing, and I'm like thinking of like my, buddies, people overseas. I'm thinking of everything that I, worked towards to get here. I'm thinking of like all those people that just don't believe in themselves. Cause I'm really not that talented. I just like believed in myself and worked hard and found a way, like figured it out. That other people that don't feel that way. And I just got like fucking emotional, like during the song, I mean, I'm standing there facing the flag, but I'm not like thinking about the words to the song. It was just that moment, it was an emotional moment for me. And I started freaking bawling. And it's like, there's also an ugly ass picture of me on the internet. Like, just like so gross. So like, that was my one moment for the anthem on the field. And I'd never really felt, the only other time I felt that same way when the anthem was played was when we were liberated from SEER school, which is survival, evasion, resistance, escape. We're like in a mock POW camp. We get liberated all of a sudden, and like they raise a flag and play the song, and I started crying then because I was like in an emotionally distressed situation. That's the only other time, and this time. So fast forward to almost exactly a year later, when Colin, started sitting on the bench, and it's like part of, I think one of the main reasons that it drummed up so much controversy was not only like, the Black Lives Matter movement and, the at least more televised like the police shootings, and we're like really talking about this stuff. But then also it's like the middle of the election.
Sure. Yeah.
Like 2 months later is election night. And so it's like, are you team Hillary? Or are you team Trump? And like, we're already pulled apart pretty hardcore,
Yeah, it made people feel like it wasn't about like Team Trump or Team Hillary. It felt like, oh, do you like this way of life or this way of life? Is what it felt like for the first time ever. I've been through presidential elections. It never felt like that at all.
No, not at all.
So like, it wasn't like a statement to who you were or like an insult to who you were if you weren't on this. It felt very, very strange.
Yeah. I think people always joked about like being in the South, being in Texas or in places like that. I was stationed a lot of places in the South. People would jokingly say like, oh, he's a Democrat,
Right.
And it's a joke. Like,
they don't.
But then it's like, now it's a real thing. Like, oh, that person voted for Donald Trump. Like, can't even.
Sure.
That's not a person. That's he would have voted for Hitler if he was running. Same thing. I'm like, whoa, okay, calm down. But that's what it's like. It was like, yeah, are you this side or that side? Everything's black and white now, literally and figuratively. And this happens, another uproar, and I'm getting hit up from like different publications to write an op-ed. People are asking me, you got to write something about this, man. You served and you played. You know what that means.
You have to be outraged.
Yeah, you have to be. And the one I agreed to write with was the Army Times, because they said I could write. I asked them, I said, the only way I'll do it is if I can write like an open letter and I see the final edit before it goes. Sure. And I'm writing what I want to write. And if you don't want to run it, don't run it. But that's what I'm going to do.
What does that mean? Like, you're afraid they'll take things out?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've done it before. I've done interviews. You do an interview with somebody and they take like everything out of context and use this one thing and it's worded funny.
Yeah.
And
We're going to read that on this podcast.
No, that's not at all what I was talking about.
Which is huge what they do like on reality shows.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, obviously it's the low stakes for a stupid like dating show or something, but they do that all the time. They'll give someone like a bad edit. And you'll think, well, there's no way she didn't do that. We witnessed her do that. You're like, yeah, but she did it like a day before. Like, and they just use her facial expression of her being like this to something else. And it makes it look like that was what she was doing to that end.
Totally.
But yeah.
It's the same thing. Yeah.
So you're afraid that they would do that?
I knew they would do that.
Okay.
Because I mean, it was, I won't even say the publications, but pretty major ones, like national, whatever. And I was like, I just am worried about, I'm trying to calm everybody down.
Yeah, a lot of risk too, yeah.
And so they said I could do that. And I wrote that thing in like an hour and a half, like drinking beer or wine or something. And just
American beer.
It was like alone in my apartment, like not just like no quill pen. You know what I mean? I'm like in my lazy boy, like typing on my laptop. And I get done and I'm like, I didn't have anybody look at it. I just was like, I went through, did the spell check and just like sent it to them. And they wrote me back pretty much right away, they're like, cool, we'll post it in the morning. I'm like, great. Nobody reads the Army Times, like not even in the Army. Like it's, I think they don't have a big following in social media. And I think it's the people that work there are awesome people, but it's just a small, and the next morning I woke up when it would run and like, I've never had anything like that. I mean, literally hundreds of emails.
Oh, wow.
Voicemail box was full. And it was all, and like Twitter was like, everything was blowing up because everyone was sharing it, which was really cool.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people were feeling the same shit. They're just like, God, like we are, I think like as we're talking about 90% of us are pretty reasonable. I think, I think whether you're conservative, liberal, whatever.
And the other 10% are on Twitter.
Yeah, that's true. And so, so it was, that was cool, but it was also super overwhelming. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to handle it. And I was getting, from CNN to Fox News to MSNBC to PBS to whatever, all of them. And I'm like, if I go on one first, I'm going to like look like that's my stance or something. Right. So I was like, I didn't know what to do. Luckily, NFL Network reached out because I was like, okay, cool. That is apolitical. It's just a sports.
Yeah, it's not Fox or CNN.
No, it's not going to like, it doesn't have a certain viewership. It's just sports fans. And so I agreed to do like a exclusive interview with them that afternoon. And I'm like in the green room, like getting ready to go on. And Colin's publicist called me and was just like, Colin read the letter and he wants to meet with you. I was like, whoa.
He's not even a starting NFL quarterback and he's got a publicist. Yeah.
He's got a little bit of money.
That's impressive.
He took him to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but publicist is like $5,000 a month. It's expensive. He's like
probably hired him right after he started sitting down.
He was making
$16
$16 million a year. So
really?
He could
you get a publicist.
Probably get a publicist. Probably get a couple.
I didn't know that. Didn't know that about old Cappy.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think he started for 3 or 4 years, and it took him all the way to the Super Bowl that year. That
Alex Smith did a lot of the heavy lifting, but yes.
This is the Seahawk fan in him.
That was the next year.
No, Alex Smith was
the year they went to the Super Bowl.
Got
injured when he took over. But
the Super Bowl year?
Yeah, he took over like week 6 or something. Because then Alex Smith came back, and they're like, "Do they put him back in?" And they didn't.
And they went all the way to the Super Bowl that year.
Yeah.
Are you sure it wasn't NFC Championship?
No, they went against the Ravens.
Yeah, it was the next year.
Harbaugh versus Harbaugh.
I thought that was the year that they lost to the Seahawks when Sherman.
That was Kaepernick's.
That was the year. That was the year. That was the next year.
The year
Damn
after
it, you're right.
Yeah.
Good call.
But he didn't do most of it. Kaepernick got him there.
Totally.
He's just
he ran for like 290 yards against the freaking Panthers.
He played 5 games that season.
Tony.
So
we hate the 49ers.
I know this, but I'm also.
I just want to.
I'm happy for Rich though.
Yeah.
Richard Sherman, man.
Absolutely.
I think that's cool. I'm a Niner fan. He's a great dude, by the way.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Not happy about it.
Not happy about it.
You know why I'm not happy about it? We can talk about it. I think we've talked about it on here, have we?
We kind of mentioned it. Like we're excited to start to root against him.
Yeah, Richard Sherman. Oh yeah, we talked about that. But Richard Sherman, I get it. It's a business. Go where you want to go. Do what you want to do. Do what's best for you. All that different stuff. But you don't have to go to the rival team.
You don't have to.
It's like saying like, oh well, she
Johnny.
I don't want to be with her.
To Johnny Damon.
What's that?
Johnny Damon,
he went to the,
dude.
Yeah, he went to the
Oh,
Yankees.
yeah, well,
Sox won the
But that's the
World
thing, like,
Series with the Sox,
fans-
and then went to the Yankees.
Fans believe in rivalries. And so like you can go to any team in the NFL, but intentionally going to your rivalry is like saying F you. It's like cheating. It's like having sex with your best friend's, your ex-boyfriend's best friend, and being like, "What? You didn't want me?"
Well,
like, yeah, but there's still some etiquette.
And that
involved.
I don't really have a problem with, but like him, like being like his reaction to our reaction,
petty.
I'm like, come on, you should know that's coming.
Right.
Also,
NFL players want us to always consider that it's a business until it behooves them. Then we're supposed to have like empathy and be like, oh.
That's my thought is it's a bad business move on his behalf because now his autograph is diminished to the Seahawk fan because now they're also getting a fan of a 49er or like a signature of a 49er.
He's such a better dude than all of you, though.
I think so.
I don't think so. I believe it.
That's crazy. I don't remember him
great
on
men.
his podcast.
Such a good dude.
Wait, here's the thing about that. So I'm trying to think of like an example of like NFL players will be like, "Well, man, it's a business. I'm doing what's best for me. I'm doing what's best for me." And then it's like concussion protocol comes in, and they're like, guys, I might never be able to play with my grandkids. It's like, well, I thought this was a business. That's your problem, man. I like we're just fans who just like, is it a business or are you human beings that we just need to consider? Because guess what? If you're human beings that you need to consider, you need to consider our feelings too. That like we're fans and we contribute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's unfair. Don't go to the rival team, you butthole.
He's just a
love
jilted lover.
It's a business.
You know, so they'll be like, can you believe they're adding an extra NFL game in the season? But
I hope it's only for the 49ers.
It'll hurt us. We could get injured, you know, we could get wrist or whatever. Well, like I could be like, well, I don't care. It's a business and I want another NFL game. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, is it business or is it personal? That's my point.
Yeah, pick one.
Pick one.
Pick a side. Is that
That's
what
what
you're
I
saying?
say. Pick a side.
We're asking you to actually pick the side on behalf of all the players of the NFL.
We've just been talking the whole time about how like we shouldn't pick a side. Let's just be reasonable.
Pick a damn
and
side.
then here I am. Pick a damn side. You know, what is it? Is it a business or is it? All right. So
So
get a
Kaepernick's
call from the
publicist reaches out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she said he wanted to meet, and this is the day before the final preseason game that year, and it's in San Diego. The next day, they're playing the Chargers, and she's like, "Is there any way you can come down tomorrow and meet him before the game? Sit down with him. He just wants to talk." And
Sure.
you know, I'm just like, "Okay, is it?" I was like, "Is there going to be cameras there?
Trick.
Is this like
He's
a
gonna
media
fight
thing?"
you.
No, I know.
I just want to talk. Yeah,
I knew
I've
it
heard
wasn't that. I knew it wasn't that. But I didn't know. I mean, I'd never met the guy. I didn't know what it was like. You know, I pulled for him. I mean, I'm a Niner fan, like
That's
I said,
right.
and
We're gonna edit all that
you know.
out. Every time he says I'm a Niner
Seahawks.
you can't. It's hard, man. Even when you play for another team, at least for me,
course. No,
because I'm
I
a
get
fan
it.
first.
Terry Bradshaw doesn't even like this deal.
You know what? And
Can we say that?
I'm a big time. I'm a fan first because I didn't even start playing until I was 29, so I could
Right.
never say
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
a player
Sure.
first.
100%.
I was a fan when I was 4.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So, sure.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree 100%. It doesn't bother me at all.
I don't know. I don't know if he
It
does.
doesn't bother me.
I doubt
It
it.
bothers me, but who am I? I don't know.
Tony.
I'm just a guy on a
Producer.
computer. So yeah, who cares?
I'm not even in this division, so you guys can go ahead and worry about your own
You
stupid
have
shit.
97 teams. You don't count.
It's fun to be a homer, but it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. So I said, okay, you know, as long as that's not the deal, if he just really genuinely wants to talk, then sure. So, she actually was like, cool, we'll take care of transportation. I'm like, all right. I figured flying down. Yeah. UberX. They stuck me in an UberX from LA to San Diego.
$16 million a season, and he's UberX in
3.5 hours.
That's a long
in the
Uber.
back of this Prius. And I got back problems.
Yeah, that's
more
a long
expensive
Uber.
than a plane
I was
ticket?
on fire. I was
A Prius.
yeah.
I know whose
was hurting,
side I'm
dude.
on now.
I should have sat up front and just caught the seat back and went to sleep or something.
Oh,
but
that's
I was
crazy.
dying.
Would you just like text message and just kind of like read all the replies and stuff? Is that what you're doing the whole time in the back of the?
Oh yeah, pretty much. Just catching up on
Because there must have been a billion tweets and all that stuff.
Yeah. There's no way to keep up with that. With
Yeah.
the tweet stuff.
Was the Uber driver having boring conversation with you? He's like, so you're heading to
he
work?
said, "Where are you going,
Why
man?"
are we doing this?
No, I don't remember the Uber driver. I don't think they were pretty quiet. I can't believe they took that ride.
But that's my point: is that they accepted like San Diego. Am I reading this correctly? Am I
Yeah.
going to
Well, yeah,
San
the person's
Diego?
like, I just got to do one ride
They get a
today,
fat
and then I'm
check,
done.
yeah.
And it was like we left it. It was a night game, and I met him. I think it was probably 7:00 kick. I probably met him at 3. So yeah, we left at like 11 a.m. or something.
Oh, okay.
It took it was a long drive. I think it was Friday too. But anyway, get down there, meet in the team hotel in the lobby, and it was so bizarre because have you ever been to what's that hotel in like Horton Plaza in San Diego? Do you know the area at all? Okay, anyway, it's just right by the gas lamp district downtown.
Okay.
It's like this nice. A lot of people go there, you know, bachelor parties, whatever.
I feel like it's the exact hotel you were in
I was just
last
going to
week.
say I might have stayed at it
You
literally
might have.
last week.
You might have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't think of if it's a Weston or whatever it is.
It's like on
but
F Street, which is like right in the gas lamp.
one of them. Yeah. Same area. And so it's got like this, you know, the big valet driveway and it's just big windows facing the street. And there's people walking down in the street. And we sat in this little, like this couch across from each other right in front of the window. So there's like people walking by, like taking selfies because
wow.
his hair.
Yeah,
he's got the
pretty
fro,
noticeable.
and everyone knows the Niners are in town, and so
Wait,
like,
did it start with like small talk? Like, how was the Prius ride?
Yeah.
Or like, it was like
no.
And then he's like, we should probably talk about this Kaepernick
like-
thing. He did it exactly like me.
About
Should I rate
himself.
it 4 stars, 3
Third
stars?
person?
Yeah,
Was he
of course,
nice?
Yeah, no, he was nice, man. I could tell straight up, he was like a little nervous about the whole thing because I think not necessarily meeting with me. I think just everything that had happened because for him,
His whole life.
talk about it blowing up, and I don't know if he wasn't prepared for the blowback like that. And like, I mean, it was crazy.
Well, like this sounds so silly to even compare it, but like if someone says something mean, like I get like a mean tweet every like hour in my career. And so like someone will be like, I hate Jeff Dye. Can you believe he said this on TV today or whatever? Like it does rattle me. And it's only one negative tweet and I'll block the person or delete it or like just get it out of my mind. But that's one thing. And I'm fragile enough that like, I'll be like, oh no, like I was just making a joke. Why does this person hate me? Imagine getting like thousands of those. Like,
It's probably better that way. So this is kind of like war.
Because you can't see all of them.
If you get shot at
It's
by
like
with one bullet from a sniper and you know it was intended for you, at least for me,
yeah,
that's way scarier than just gunfire everywhere. And I don't know where it's coming from.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, whatever.
that's true.
You know what I mean? So it's
these
just like
people.
war.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same.
But I'm not prepared for war or snipers.
But yeah, so I mean, there was a little bit of small talk, but it was just like, it was kind of like, whoa, man, this is crazy, right?
What should I
and he's
do?
like, yeah, this is crazy. It's, I didn't know it was gonna blow up like this. And, and we were just talking about things and he was like, well, I mean, he said, you understand why I'm saying what I'm saying. And it's nothing to do with like, I respect your service and everybody's service in the military. That's not what it's about. And he's like, really, it's not even about, cops in general, police and like individuals. He's like, I got family that served in the military and family that did that. If he said for me, it's just more about lack of accountability and, I just wish people would understand that that's why I'm doing this. And I pretty much said, here's the thing about that. Like you can say all day what any gesture is about. Like I could stick my middle finger at you, and say, it's not what you think. It's not what you think. It's something else. It's
funny.
not about this. It's about that.
Tony, flip off.
It doesn't, I don't get to choose how you take it though. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, I don't get to, you don't get to choose how people perceive it. And that's just the way it is. And people have different feelings about it, relationship to it. And it's really special to a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying not just military, just people, people in general. And I actually shared a couple messages from friends of mine. Some of them were really upset about my letter because it was like, I wasn't attacking. Some of them were like very supportive of that. Some of them were like, man, I wish I would approach it like you did. Like, I like the way you handled it, all that stuff. But then I also had a message from a buddy that was like, man, I was with you on this whole Kaepernick thing, but I just got back literally that day. He's like, I just got back from a funeral. We had one of our birds came in and dropped off a body of one of our brothers that was killed overseas, and the wife's on the tarmac, and they unload the coffin like draped in the flag. And he's like, I'm just angry again, man. He's like, I can't help it. And I'm like, you have every right to be.
Sure.
And I showed him that, and then another message from a guy I know that's a double amputee that was like, even though I don't have legs, I'll stand with enough pride for both of us when the anthem is played. And I shared it with him, just so he could see some of those emotions, some of those feelings, And I said, and it's not everybody. There's a lot of people. There was a whole vets for Kaepernick thing. A lot of veterans that were totally supporting him and all that. So through that conversation, I just said, I want to understand better where you're coming from and why. And I want to I think we should work together on solution, like measurable goals. What do you want to see? Like where do we need to go to get you, feeling any semblance of pride like I feel, that would make you maybe want to stand again? I mean, what does that look like?
Right. And
at that time didn't really, everything happened so fast. I don't think he was prepared for all that and didn't really have that plan, but we, our plan was we were going to stay in communication, kind of work through that and all that. And then I just said, man, I said, honestly, for one thing, at least with me, I said that just sitting on the bench, like isolated, like you're doing, kind of with your head down, it makes it look like you don't care. Like that's what I feel when I see that. It makes it look like
Indifference.
Yeah, you're like sitting it out. Like you're just like, whatever, anthem, cool.
Right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't look like you're protesting even to me.
Right.
And he said, well, what do you think I should do? And I said, well, I think you should stand.
Yeah.
I said, I mean, maybe you can, everyone's listening now. Like, you know, let's figure out a project and do something, you know? And he said, no, I'm not going to stand. I said, I wouldn't do it unless, until I see things change. And I was like, all right, well, I think whatever you do, it needs to be alongside your teammates. I said, I think that's important. I mean, you're still part of this team. You're in the locker room and, you know, you got to, whether those guys agree with you or not individually. I mean, we're in the military. I don't like everybody on my team. Yeah.
No, but you're right. You should be with the team, which is one of the greatest things about football is like, it's sort of like that brotherhood mentality of like, we're out here together.
Similar to the military in that regard. And the locker rooms are very similar. And I also mentioned, I said it also happens to be Military Appreciation Night, and we're in San Diego, which is a very military town. And he didn't know that. There was like a flyover with like Navy SEALs jumping into the stadium and like all this stuff planned. And I was like, I'm just, you know, think about that. And he's like, okay. He's like, all right, well, is there anything, I mean, what else do you think I could do? And I was like, I don't know. I said, what if you took a knee alongside your teammates? I said, I think kneeling is a sign of respect. You know, people take a knee to pray, propose to their wives. You know, a common image you'll see is a warfighter taking a knee in front of a fallen brother's grave to pay respects. Sure. Like, I just think it's better.
You're different than the rest, but you're still respecting. I said still flag. Demonstrate, but it's I think it's respectful to people. You know, maybe not a system, but people. And he agreed to do that. You know, and I said I'd stand next to him if he did that night, and that's probably the picture you're talking about, right? Yeah. So the anthem played that night. I'm standing there with my hand on my heart as an African-American guy in the Navy singing the anthem. Oh, wow. It's super bizarre, you know. And then he takes a knee, and you know, people are booing, and it's just like, it is crazy, weird. Man. What a choice to boo during the national anthem. To be like, no, I'm not booing that. I'm booing that.
Yeah,
but you're like, yeah, but you're booing this. It's my perception is that you're booing the national anthem. Yeah. Like, what an interesting.
Or even if you are booing him and not that, isn't this the time where it's about that?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah.
So, and there's people are. Yeah, you said people are idiots earlier. Yeah. People are idiots.
It's true.
You know,
people love to make things about themselves. Like our buddy Mitch, he was in the Marines. He's a great guy and he's very patriotic. I asked him. He's the first person I asked because when I think of, you know, soldiers and stuff, I think of him. We used to talk like every day, so it was pretty easy.
Wait, he's in the Marines?
He was in the Marines, right?
I believe it was the Marines. Yeah.
If he was in the Marines, he's not a soldier.
He's not. They're not called soldiers
for that one.
Really?
They're called Marines.
Oh, he was a Marine. He was a Marine soldier.
Army is soldiers.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh, so he was a Marine.
Air Forces, Airmen, Navy.
I said, "What do you think about this?"
Yeah.
I said, "What do you think about Kaepernick doing that for the national anthem or whatever?" And his honest response was, "It's fine because he's on a knee." And also, he's not hurting anyone. He's not blocking up traffic. He started a conversation that everyone keeps asking me about. We're all talking about. Everyone's talking about. So, but you know, how would you want him to protest?
Yeah.
Because if he does it the way you want it, then it doesn't start a.
No.
Then nobody knows.
Doug Baldwin said it best. Doug Baldwin talks about it a lot. And he's like, it's supposed to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
If it's not uncomfortable, it's not going to be.
Ignore it. If you just wear like I have a yellow X on my jersey, and that means, but no one cares about the yellow X. It doesn't affect anything. Yeah, it's very fascinating. Well, and then since it's just gotten worse and worse and worse, their own president is commenting on it, and so what happened from there?
So we stayed in contact through the season, you know, up through the Super Bowl, and then. Yeah, he started to elevate, you know, I mean, he's getting awards all over the world and like doing all this stuff. And so we sort of lost contact through all that. And, you know, he's doing his thing. He's getting hit up by a million people. And I know he's getting
pulled. He probably would have kept in better contact if he was in the NFL because you guys would be working on, you know, something like that.
That's been one of the tough things. I mean, And I know this is a big part of it too. Like there's a lot of people in his ear. He's getting pulled in a lot of directions.
Sure.
And I mean, put yourself in his shoes. You got all these people on one side just praising him, worshiping him. And then you got all these people on the other side that just hate him. It's really hard for him to sit in the middle.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
course.
Like it takes a lot of courage and I will continue to encourage him to do that. You know, I think that the people that we remember through history, like, you know, the Martin Luther Kings and the Gandhis and all these people, they continue to engage with those that they didn't agree with or felt that, you know, they were hated by.
Sure.
That's what takes real courage. So I hope he does that, you know, eventually, like we see more of that. So, you know, you got that. And then, yeah, like you said, this just, you know, people in high places, saying things and everybody's got an opinion on it. And then the lawsuit, you know, with the NFL, you know, the collusion case, it's like, that's a tough one too. I mean, of course, no teams are going to sign you if you're suing the NFL.
Right.
It's like, you know, and I've talked to some of his agents and some of his people, and they're like, no doubt it's a blackball situation. I had the Seahawks. This is a hot take. I had John Schneider and Pete Carroll and these guys call me when they brought Cap up there to ask me about what he's like as a person, not about this whole thing. Just like, what was your feelings about him? You know, they trusted me enough to ask my opinion. I'm like, he's a good dude. You know what I mean? And I said, at the end of the day, like
people forget he's kind of young too, and he's quiet.
He's a young guy.
Like, he works hard. Yeah.
You know, what I fought for, what we all fought for in the military is ultimate freedoms and these rights. You know, I don't have to like it, but that's what I fought for. You know what I mean? That's what makes this country a great place. And I said, there's going to be a lot of people in the veteran community that aren't going to like it, but there's a lot of people in the veteran community that support it. And there's a lot of people that have kind of shifted and opened their minds a little bit through this whole thing. So you got that, but you know, it's going to be tough too.
Do you think they were asking like, is this going to be a distraction?
Totally. Yeah. You know, but I think, I mean, they definitely, because they met with him twice, you know, they definitely asked him those questions too. And I think ultimately what happened was they said, look, we've got guys on our team that, I mean, we stand up and lock arms. You know? And people like Doug. I love that. Like I keep mentioning Doug, but Doug is like, I look up to that guy, man. He's 8 years younger than me or something. That dude is switched on, like super smart. Just gets it. And he's, you know, and he comes from a family of law enforcement. I believe his father was maybe in the military and a cop. And he's working with local police up there to try to, you know,
figure it out.
Yeah, figure it out. Exactly. And I have a feeling they were like, look, this is what Doug's doing. You know, would you be a part of this? You know, and I don't think I think Colin said no. You know, I think he said, I'm going to keep protesting my way. And I don't know. That's just my assumptions.
Yeah.
And that's why I didn't quit
anything that's kind of become such a big.
Totally.
Yeah. You'd be turning your back on everyone who supported you throughout all of that.
And then it's kind of blows up in a different way of like, oh, now he's flip flopped. Like just with especially 24-hour like sports coverage and stuff like that. Right. It's like everything is some story.
There was a story that came out last year that said he had said to people that he wasn't going to kneel anymore if he get back in the league. And then he denied it later. I don't know if it happened or not, but you know, who knows? But anyway, and then with this case, like the only two teams that are being deposed are the Seahawks and the Ravens, who are the teams that actually tried to sign him. I'm like, dude. Yeah. I mean, so when it comes to that stuff, like that's frustrating to me. Right. You know what I mean? I think he has an opportunity to unite the country. I really believe that. But it's going to take a lot of humility and like not saying I was wrong. He doesn't say any of that stuff, but just sitting down with you know, law enforcement, sitting down with people that you disagree with and trying to understand them. Like he did it with me.
Yeah, of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was awesome. And it was,
it's always one of those things too, is like, it's like what you kind of like said, it's almost full circle, but like, you know, this is what's exciting and this is what's exciting. And the reasonable take in the middle isn't exciting, but that's what's correct. You know, like the calmer heads prevail of being like,
I think so.
Are there horrible cops that treat minorities awful and are violent?
There's horrible Green Berets.
Exactly.
There's shitbags
and then there's
everywhere.
Great cops who are doing the right thing, that are working hard. Are there bad teachers? Yes. Are there great teachers? Yes. And that's because there's no yes or no for any of these things. But like people want, you know, if you're married to a cop, you go, nope. these cops are great, and they don't, and you're like, no, not all of them. They're not all great.
No.
And if you've been assaulted by a police officer, you think all cops are out to get me. They're just shooting, minorities in the streets, and it's like, well, some of them, but not all of them. That's not all.
Well,
so.
and that's what frustrates me about it, and where I feel really bad. First of all, what a demonized job right now to be a cop.
Ugh.
They're seeing I got this report from Chief David Brown, who was the Dallas police chief during that shooting when 5 cops were slain. He's African American, and his brother and his son, I think his son was in a police involved shooting. I think his son was actually shooting at the cops too. And his brother was like in a gang and had like a drug overdose or something like that. I'm going to be a little bit wrong, but
Something along
Google Chief David Brown, read his story. But he still went on to become a police chief, right? And he was one of these people that I sat on a panel with him, and he was like, very few African-American men are voting, and very few African-American men want to be police officers now.
Right.
And that's who you need. You know what I mean? Well, first of all, you need them in the polls if you want to, that's one of the reasons that 45 won, straight up. But also, they need to be cops. They need to patrol their neighborhoods.
100% they got to be cops. Yeah. If it's 50-50, then there's none of this bigotry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But
I've never thought of that.
There's turds in every subculture of America. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, and
There's
it's like you
lots
read
of
the
them.
story about like a Catholic priest, and then what happens is people, like my parents are like, all of them are bad. You're like, we can't do that. We can't just think.
Just the ones I dated are bad. The other ones are fine.
Oh, boy.
Well, I mean, and for that to come from with that, Jesus, you're still the right size. You're still priest.
He's not out of the woods yet.
Yeah.
He lives in fear. That's why he made that joke.
Don't dye your hair.
That's why I'm not religious.
It's always in the back of his mind.
But like the generalizations, man, like that's the very thing you're fighting.
Yeah.
Generalizations. And now you were generalizing against cops. And I don't think it's fair because I'm in the military. I'm a veteran.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, you guys are all heroes. I'm like, no, we're not.
Right.
We got shitbags too.
Yeah.
I've done things that I was ashamed of in combat,
Sure.
right? And I don't think I didn't run around just like shooting people.
Right.
But I mean, I've done things where it was a tough decision.
We're humans.
A regret is a better word. It's a tough decision, and I had to make one, and I was worried about the guys next to me. I was worried about myself, and I was worried about, and you make a call and you roll with it. And
Sure.
sometimes it's the right call and sometimes it maybe wasn't. And it's really hard to understand what that's like. You know what I mean? And I think people maybe will justify it more with military because they're like, oh, but you're fighting a war on terror and all that. And I'm just like, it's in those moments, like I'm not thinking about terrorism, I'm not thinking about patriotism. I'm just like, it's hard, man.
Yeah.
It's really hard. You know?
Sure.
I was super lucky one time. I squeezed the trigger and I thought the guy was armed and he wasn't. It was dark. There was somebody else was armed next to him.
Sure.
And luckily I missed. Thank God I'm a shitty shot, because it would have it'd be eating me alive right now. You know what I mean? But that stuff happens.
Yeah,
and
of
it
course.
happens. It's just,
Yeah, I always like to say like nobody is there like one, even just an interaction. Like even if like you just like people go, oh, I saw Ken Griffey Jr. at a restaurant. Oh, is he nice? How is he supposed to know if he's nice? By
was nice that day.
One interaction. Yeah, exactly.
For those 5
And
seconds.
the people will carry that the rest of their lives.
Right.
They'll be like,
That's a good
oh,
point.
I met Griffey. He's a dick. Yeah. Oh, well, did you go up to him at the grocery store and annoy him while
he
he's like
was
shopping
peeing
with
and he
his
wouldn't
kids?
shake my hand.
Yeah, exactly. And that's forever the reputation of Griffey to that individual. And he shares it. And but if it's positive, he shares that too. But that's also, Griffey's also not a nice guy. And he's not a mean guy. You had that interaction. He's neither of those things. He's both of those things. It's paradoxical. But yeah. I think people do that with just like a lot of like serious issues, which is, I don't know. It's great for comedy, but it's horrible for the world.
great for the news too.
Yeah, like I have some dumb joke where I'll be like, "Oh, where I'm from, cops are racist. I'm from America," and it gets a big laugh, And it's like if it's depending on the demographic of the audience, it gets a huge laugh, and it's an easy like throwaway line, but people do think like that. Like people genuinely go in these like oversimplifications of things. It's crazy to me. But since then, do you think your opinions changed or it's stayed kind of steady?
No, I mean, it's definitely, I guess, a more more educated opinion. I mean, that was a story I wanted to tell when I started out here. so I got done with that meeting and things kept coming. The next few weeks, I did all those other shows. I went on the CNNs and the Fox Newses and I
Gotta
did
get those
everyone.
credits, dog.
I went on with Tommy Lahren,
Yeah,
and I went on with like the most like liberal interviewers you can imagine. I didn't matter. I was like, I'm going to keep the same message. I'm going to be like, this is who I am. This is what I believe. This is what I got it from Colin. And I defended him sometimes, and I defended police officers. Oh, sure. Other times it was just like, there's anyway.
Depending on how it went, yeah.
Yeah.
But you kept your take.
But I started reading up on this, and what a really cool story about Wrigley Field that I read was about it's the history of the Star Spangled Banner in sports in America.
Oh,
well, I guess in any country.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in 1918, it's 1918 World Series, and it's the Boston Red Sox against the Chicago Cubs, which ironically the cursed teams, who didn't get back till the 2000s. And anyway, so they're playing each other. Game one's at Wrigley Field. We're a year into World War I. So we already lost a lot of guys. Morale was down in our country as a whole. I think reading about this today, I think there was like only 10,000 fans at the stadium during this thing, right?
Yeah, our national pastime. It can't be a sellout game one of the World Series.
10,000 fans. It's just like, and this is the way the story is written anyway. So it may be a little bit dramatized, but it's a really cool story. Mm-hmm. And it is true. I actually went to Wrigley Field and checked up on all this stuff. Because there's ghosts there, and you just ask them.
Yeah, you say, "Hey,
you just talk to the
come
ghost?
here, you old ghost."
Oh, okay.
Can my goat come?
Nice.
Yes. We don't talk about the goat.
It's over.
No,
The curse is over.
man.
It's
Curse
fine.
is over. Remember?
Yeah,
Bring
I'm
your
still
goat
mad
to
at
the
the goat.
ballpark day. That's what they're gonna do soon. They should do that. Actually,
They got to get Bartman
I'm
out
gonna
there to
run
throw
that
the
by the
first
Ricketts.
pitch.
Oh
He
my
doesn't-
god!
I don't think
yeah.
he wants to though. I
He's
think
still
they
in
asked
hiding.
him.
Yeah,
Oh, they
he-
did?
I think they asked him after they won, and he's like, I don't want any part of it.
Well, he's the only guy who's allowed to have hard feelings. I
Sure.
think.
Yeah, they were rough on him.
They were good, man. Brutal. But anyway, so game one, Babe Ruth on the mound pitching, right? 7th inning stretch. So Cubs are about to come up, take an infield. And at these games back in the day, it was before they had, they didn't have walk-up songs, believe it or not. But they had a military band that would come to the games, big games like the World Series games. And the military band would play, probably Yankee Doodle Dandy, I don't know, songs like that, right? So they
Uptown Funk, please.
Little Bruno.
Yeah.
And so they start playing the Star Spangled Banner during while they're taking infield, and the third baseman is a guy named Fred Thomas, who was in the Navy, and he was granted furlough to play in the series because he was also was the Red Sox. So they let him play. He faces the flag, snaps to attention, and everyone else in the field is it's kind of awkward because they're like, what do we do? So they all took their hats off out of respect for Fred.
Yeah.
Fans started singing it. And I guess it was this really cool, unifying moment in the stadium. And so the next night they did it again, 7th inning stretch, let's play the Star Spangled Banner. That was a hit.
Love it.
So they do it. Series goes back to Boston, and they play the song before the game, and they brought wounded warriors on the field.
That's amazing.
It was just crazy.
Yeah.
We do that every
But they
game
sang
now.
Neil Diamond. I don't know.
No, they sang the same song. No, Neil Diamond sang the Star Spangled Banner. He was 4 years old.
He was 40.
He was
actually, at the
5'2". And so, they do it before the game and whatever. They play it for the rest of the series, and it's awesome. That's 1918. And it became tradition. Let's play it at these big sporting events. Didn't even become the national anthem until 1931.
Oh, wow.
And one of the main reasons was the popularity at these sporting events. And the original reason they started doing it was for the military. It was to honor the military.
That is crazy.
So it's a cool story. It's a piece of this whole thing that's never talked about.
Right.
Because it's not a hot take, I guess. I don't know.
Well, and
But I
also
think
my
it's-
argument used to
it's
be
too respectful.
and this is not this is not everyone, but a lot of people did say oh, I want my politics out of sports. A lot of people say I don't want my politics in comedy. I don't want my politics in that should be separate.
Well,
I don't
comedy,
want politics.
it's that's 90% of your comedy is
Well,
politics.
but
our
they-
comedy.
some people like jokes about cats and observational
Okay,
stuff and things
yeah,
like that. They're like, I like a comedian who doesn't need to talk. I'm here to escape from that. And there's a lot of audience members that feel that.
Yeah, of course.
But people will say oh, I don't. If I want to see the Dixie Chicks, I want to watch the Dixie Chicks. I don't want to hear them rant to me about their politics. So keep your politics out of your arts. And you hear these kind of things. And I know that's not everyone. I want to clarify that. But I was thinking, if you do feel like that, you want politics out of sports, then you can't have the national anthem in the sport. Like, right? Like, why are we doing the national anthem if you don't want politics in the sport?
Why are you making all these Dominican guys do the national anthem?
Yeah, most of them are. Yeah. Although,
Touche.
to that argument though, like, I know you're being silly, but some of those Dominican guys love America more than anyone else. They're like,
for sure.
oh my God, I literally had
think about,
no
like-
shoes, and now I'm a millionaire in one of the greatest countries in the
So
world.
Queek talks about America.
That same season in 2016 when the Niners went down and played the Dolphins. You remember this?
Not particularly.
So a lot of Cubans live in Miami.
Oh, yeah.
And he had worn that Fidel Castro shirt, and a lot of those, they took offense to it. A lot of those
course,
Cuban Americans.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And so they're playing them down there, and it's like a shootout, and it's towards the end of the game, and I think the Niners are like, they're like on the goal line, about to score and win the game. And Kiko Alonso, linebacker, like sacks Cap to end the game. And I think he's Cuban.
That's good.
And it was just like this, talk about
like,
politics
thank
and
you.
sports.
Yeah.
That was politics on the field. Like, it was crazy.
And he's a hero
The
now.
place
He's
went
a-
nuts, you know. It
They
was,
burn candles for him now. Like,
both teams were like 2-12, but like it was just a
small victory.
it was a big
The
moment.
Dolphins take what they can get.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, maybe they just have to, if they're going to, you know, if we're going to keep playing the anthem, which I think they do because it's special to me.
Sure.
They should. But, you know, maybe it's, please rise as we honor the military.
Yeah, so it should
or
be.
something. I don't know. But I mean, I think that's an important, if people want to, I think that story and why
That's great.
it's
I never-
important. I
yeah.
think, you know, I didn't know that shit. You know,
really
I didn't know
cool.
anything about it really. Like, I knew who wrote it and
Right.
when because I was in the military.
Yeah.
And like we learned that stuff.
I do
but-
remember seeing growing up during the national anthem, like at baseball games and stuff. I remember seeing a lot of players, and they weren't protesting; they were just getting ready for the baseball game, and they didn't stand up. Like I remember seeing guys stretch. I
totally.
think photos of it from like when Safeco was like brand new. I remember like they're, you know, I was taking a photo of the national anthem because a lot of players line up.
Yeah, I
so
feel
it's
like
a
they
great
didn't really
picture.
take it as a big serious thing until 9/11. That's when it
I
really.
wonder if this is
that was
post
the turn.
or pre 9/11.
Well,
but
there was
that could be.
Because it made such
and not like every sport, every game until even like a couple years after 9/11, I feel like did they
Yeah,
play
because I remember it was like I had a photo of
like
like all the Indians lined up. It was like Jim Tomey and like all these guys, and then there was like 3 pitchers like just stretching and they had like rubber bands. I was like, these guys don't care. They hear it every night, like for 162 games.
right.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's
Yeah,
right.
I mean that's another good point. People have talked about this a lot lately about, you know, okay, if you're in the stands and you're not, you know, standing at attention with your hand on your heart,
Yeah.
you know, if you're in the beer line or if you're scratching your ass
Oh,
or looking
yeah,
at
like
your phone or
those
whatever.
people that are outraged
you're wrong.
are not
Yeah,
even
yeah, a
doing
lot of
it.
them. Yeah, exactly.
Which is
they're
funny.
at home on their butts.
Yeah, or at bars, like you'll just see everyone just like watching it. You're like, well,
that's
what
true.
is, you know?
Yeah, we're not standing up at bars.
We're almost. I mean, we're over time, but I'm enjoying this so much. You're in acting now, which is kind of what you originally said. Like you thought why you moved to LA. You were like,
Yeah,
oh,
I mean,
wanna-
I didn't know what I want to do in this industry, and I still don't fully know.
Okay.
You know, I have a writing partner. We've, you know, co-wrote a couple things that we're trying to get made.
It's great.
I had a really cool opportunity to be in 12 Strong and Den of Thieves this last year. That came out the same day, which was really weird. You know, so I had to pick a side.
Yeah, I was after seeing the trailer, I was like, oh, 12
Common thing.
Strong's not about Seahawks, which is annoying.
Yeah,
You know?
they get rid of that.
It's annoying.
It was
to me.
originally called Horse Soldiers, which they should have just stuck with. That's
Yeah,
what
I
the
like
book's
that,
called,
yeah.
and that's what it's about. I mean,
Yeah.
but anyway, whatever. But both movies did pretty good. Yeah, Den of Thieves was cool. I mean, because
Yeah.
that's the first time I didn't play a soldier.
Yeah.
I was a cop.
You're an actor. Yeah.
There you go.
Totally different.
But that's them
Quite a
saying
stretch.
like
Showing your
that
range.
is them saying he can act.
Sure.
And like it's not, you know.
No, it was good. It was cool. You know, I just being on the set for a few weeks and like, I mean, actually having decent amount of dialogue and like that, the directors being like, say something like this, like whatever you think. I'm
I love
like,
that.
yes.
Yeah. A lot of waiting around, right?
A lot of waiting around, a lot of food.
I learned that the hard way. I just did my first like real movie and I just sat. I could not believe how long you just sit around.
Right.
Yeah, I'm busier at work than you are.
It
Makes me
100%.
mad.
But like these actors and these you know, famous people, you think like, oh no way, they've got time to be texting people and email. They got plenty of time. Like they're just answering emails and texting and goofing out. Like literally, like It's
napping.
insane. It's
Yeah,
insane.
Jeff was like, I know why The Rock's on Instagram all the time now because he's got the time.
Well, I listened to like 2 episodes of podcasts. I like watched all these episodes of Netflix, and they're like, "We're gonna come
You
get
can
you at
plug it.
45." I was like, "45? All right." I was playing
4
the
to
Nintendo
5
Switch.
hours.
Yeah, it was insane. It was crazy. But you enjoy doing it, right? Is
Yeah.
that what you want to do like more of?
Yeah, I mean, my goal, honestly, I want to have my own production company. Like
Nice.
that's what I want to make. My own stuff, and I'm not a director.
Yeah.
I'm not a writer, really.
Let's just YouTube how to get your own production company.
Yeah, exactly.
Boom.
How to create.
How to create one. It can't be that hard.
I love
It
it.
might not make anything, but you can have one.
No, I mean, you'll make stuff. That's the
Yeah.
whole point of having it. Is like I've got this idea, and we've
Got
all
a pretty
this
high
stuff.
success rate so far.
We'll
on
get
the-
there.
I think you're
We'll
gonna hit a
get
home
there.
run.
We'll get there. But yeah, that, and then the last thing I do want to plug is the nonprofit with Glazer.
Yeah, let's hear about that.
MVP. So it stands for Merging Vets and Players. Basically, what we're doing is we're bringing together former professional athletes and combat vets and helping them find purpose once the uniform comes off.
Love
There's
it.
like, what we did on the field. I mean, I did both. I could tell you, combat and football or MMA or whatever, even the physical sports, not the same. What you got to put in to prepare for those things, and the locker room
Yeah.
and all that stuff, the brotherhood,
Lots of overlap
that's
with
exactly the same.
Yeah.
And the fact that typically you're in your 20s, lucky if you're in your 30s and your like life career, it's all over, and
Which that's the worst part of all those things is like you're being like I talk about it a lot. I don't know why I'm so obsessed with it, but like you get called old in the NFL at like 29. It's like, oh, he's losing his legs.
he's a little long in
old
the
now.
tooth.
He turned
Long in
31.
the tooth.
Like my career wasn't even taken off until I was like 30. You know what I'm saying? It makes
Yeah.
that must be so psychologically devastating. You know, how like women in society that are, feel like, oh, I gotta have babies soon, or I gotta get married soon. Time's
time's up.
ticking.
Yeah.
No. But you must feel that as an athlete, or like even as a soldier, like, oh man, like it's what am I gonna do next? Like that's looming.
A lot of them don't think about it.
Oh,
Because they're like,
really?
how can I stay here as long as possible? You know what I mean? That's
yeah.
the problem.
That's tough.
And then it is over, and they're like, I haven't thought about next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Good old Nate one timer was like, I'm here for 4 years max as a long snapper. What am I
I'm
going
always
to
thinking about I'm lucky
Yeah.
that my mind works like that. I'm literally like setting up,
Yeah.
the next five-year sections.
It's like chess.
Yeah. But yeah, and then it's over. Like a lot of times you want to separate yourself or disconnect from it because you feel guilty or
Yeah.
like not as cool as you were. Nobody cares about me anymore. And you just like don't want to be around it. It's awkward. And because of that, it leads to isolation, and it leads to, guys just lost,
Sure.
really lost, and not. It's also both of those high level pro sports and in the military. It's like the stigma of not admitting that you need help or not
Sure.
not admitting.
Yeah,
like,
you're tough guys too.
yeah.
That's another overlap. Is you guys are like,
Yeah.
you're told
I
to be
can do
men.
it. I got
you're told
this,
to be like,
Suck
not
it
men
up.
that have
Suck
feelings.
it up. Suck it
Men
up.
that are, yeah.
Are you hurt or are you injured?
Right.
Like that's the whole thing. It's like
yeah.
I'm injured. But I mean, so we're starting to get past that, and we're looking at. I mean, you look at this, not just athletes and vets, obviously, but just suicide is a huge issue in our country, period, right now. And the more we see these famous people and these people we look up to as heroes in the veteran community that do that, I think more people see that as an option, which it should never be, or that's okay. He did it. It's okay. Like Robin Williams, not a vet or an athlete, big hero of mine though,
Sure.
always a big guy with the USO, speaking of, and just hilarious. Just seemed like I never met the guy, but it seemed like an amazing dude. Right. But obviously he just struggled
Behind there, yeah. Like in the mind, if something's
Yeah.
going on, yeah.
But what hurt me more than the fact that he's gone is just that how many people saw that and are like, well, shit, if Robin Williams, if he can't be happy,
Absolutely.
I can't be happy because I'm already feeling like shit, and anyway, so
I
what
feel
we're
like people
doing,
think that a lot.
Yeah.
they do.
Yeah.
But what we're doing is we're like, every week we meet at the gym, we meet at Unbreakable,
Nice.
Glazer's gym, and we train together, and we sit on the wrestling mats afterwards when everybody's vulnerable and sweating and like,
Yeah.
and we just talk about stuff, man. It's like a locker room. We open
awesome.
up about stuff, guys that are, and girls that got stuff weighing on them. And we talk about good stuff too. People
Yeah.
have victories and we want to hear about it. We want to hear
Yeah.
it. We want you to share everything. And it's like basically just team building, peer-to-peer counseling. There's no, this is the steps in our process, like AA has a 12-step thing, which obviously works for a lot of people.
Sure.
Ours is everybody's a coach in there. Like I'm not the leader of the thing. I just co-founded it, but it's like we're all coaches for each other. We've all been through similar things and we can relate to one another, and like let's just keep the conversations going and stay together, and don't let anybody slip through the cracks.
I love that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's like let's not have an ego in here. Like
yeah,
it's great.
And that's something that I've learned to do, and I know it helps other people when I'm able to, like when I was talking about earlier about things I regret in combat, right?
Sure.
It's something no one wants to ever admit. No one wants to admit stuff like that.
Yeah, but it's healthy to say it, or healthy to think. Yeah, for
and
sure.
it's good for other people to hear it because they're like, okay, it's okay to fuck up. I can fix it. It's all right. We can all recover from. We're all rehabbing from something.
Absolutely,
like everybody is. Everybody's got PTSD from something in some way. It's not a veteran issue. It's a human issue. There's varying degrees of it, but we are all the same in that regard.
Absolutely. Well, so how do people get involved, or what do you do for that? I'm not a player or a soldier or anything like that, but like, how do you
vet?
I'm not a vet.
You're not a Marine or an airman
I said
or all
soldier.
the other
Yeah,
things.
he's a soldier again.
My commitment to that word. Yeah.
Vets,
It's Call of Duty. That's the problem.
Vetsandplayers.org.
Vetandplayers.org.
Vetsandplayers.org.
Okay.
VETSANDPLAYERS.org. We've got a chapter here in Los Angeles. We opened one at Randy Couture's gym in Vegas.
Nice.
Couture's on our
Nice.
board.
Great guy.
He's awesome. Have you had him on here yet?
I haven't, but I've met him like 3 or
You
4
need to.
times, and he's so great.
You
How
got to
often
have
is
him
he
on.
in
He'll,
LA?
he'll do it. He comes all the time. Yeah.
Last time I
Love that.
saw him,
Cool.
I went
We'll
up
talk
to
about
him.
Just
He
punched
did-
him right
no,
in the
but
face.
he didn't see me. So I came up behind him at the bar and I was like, "Hey, out of the way, man. I'm trying to order a drink."
Oh.
And he was like, "Oh, hey, man." Like, but it was great because there was that moment where it was like, maybe this joke was a horrible idea. Maybe I'm going to literally get a glass smashed on my face.
You could have got Ken Griffey Jr. You don't know.
Exactly.
You know what I
Yeah, but
mean?
he was so cool about it. And he was like, and then he started like chuckling. He's like, "Who is this guy?" Like that is just,
it's
and it was
good.
at Tito Ortiz versus Sonnen or whatever the other guy. It was
Chael
like
Sonnen?
Yeah, it was like an actual
The
fight.
Bellator fight?
So everyone was like in their mind. Yeah, it was for Spike.
Yeah.
But anyways, I would love to have him. He's great.
Yeah. Cool dude. But
Does
yeah,
it
we got
annoy
one
you
in
that
Vegas.
people call veterinarians vets for short?
My
Does that
dad's
annoy you?
a vet.
Does that annoy
my
you?
dad's
Oh,
a
yeah, it's true.
veterinarian.
Yeah, you're a vet. He's a vet, and
Yeah.
it's totally different.
Yeah, it is very different.
That doesn't bother you?
That means I need to mention one more thing then.
Yeah.
So got MVP, and the last thing, Chris Long.
Yeah.
So I'm sure you've met Howie through
I know
Terry.
Howie very well.
So Chris Long's one of my best buddies, and he started a foundation called Water Boys, a clean water project in Tanzania. And him and I, we came up with this initiative within that organization where we bring combat vets and former NFL players. We bring them out to Tanzania, and we all climb Mount Kilimanjaro together every year,
Incredible.
and we raise money for clean water wells. And then we go visit the well sites and the villagers and all that. And
When's the next one? What's the date?
we do it right after the Super Bowl. I've done 3 years in a row now. This last year, this will be cool. It comes out in September. That NFL Films shot like a 1-hour documentary.
That's awesome.
And I got Vince Young to come. Never been on
Nice.
a hike in his life. Steven Jackson came.
Yeah, but these are all qualified athletes, though. You know what I'm
very
saying? They're all
qualified.
like,
Yeah.
Connor Barwin, who was just with the Rams this last year.
he's not like Louis Anderson. I was like, oh boy.
No, Kevin Farley.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and my dad came. That was what I was
great.
going to say about my dad from earlier. My dad came and climbed this year too, and it's 19,340 feet, and it's a beast, but it's
awesome.
pretty cool. Tallest freestanding mountain in the world.
They should film it every year for ESPN.
Well, they did the doc this year.
Yeah.
It'll be good. I mean, we got wounded vets out there with us too. I mean, guys are like missing legs and stuff.
But that's what's great
They
about
do
it.
the
It's
whole
like,
mountain?
Oh yeah.
and if
All the way to
you
the
like,
top.
if you did that
Warriors.
once a year, like annually, like
Yeah.
to let people know about it, and then also you get paid because you're doing it. But also, like every year that you bring new people, that's new stories and new stuff that
True.
happens. Other
You're
new,
right. It
yeah,
should
it'd be great.
An annual series.
Yeah, you could pitch that and forget money, but it'd just be great to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll raise
You're
money.
already
Raise money
doing
for the
it.
wells.
When
Easy.
you're already doing it, so why not film it? And
True.
yeah, get
Fact.
Tony up there filming,
I'll do my best.
producing.
I'll need a Sherpa to carry
Yeah,
me.
the hike might be
You
tricky.
need- yeah, the altitude, man. The film
Get a
crew at the
nosebleed.
top was the film
Wait,
critics.
how's
all-
Steven Jackson
guys were
holding
like
a
going,
camera?
No, it's Everest.
I was gonna say.
How's Steven Jackson holding a camera? We can maybe have him do it. Running. A dreadlock will fall into shot.
He cut all his hair off.
Oh, he did?
No more dreads. Yeah,
It's done, huh?
done.
Oh, that was you could have given us some.
You notice how I
Where's your
mentioned all the
bedside manner on
athletes? Like that was amazing that they made it up, but I didn't mention the guys that are the vets are like missing
One
legs.
leg? Yeah,
Exactly.
I was like, they had no issue though.
because you know that they're like machines. You're like,
Yeah.
they're fine.
Yeah, they're fine. They're carrying the
These guys have
athletes.
done way more than that. Yeah. Well, thanks for being on here, man. I really appreciate you. I would love to get involved with any of that stuff, but we'll plug it on the thing. We'll put it on there. Aaron, you got anything to plug, bub?
I'm doing Flappers Yoo-Hoo Room this Friday, the 22nd,
Ooh.
7 p.m.
Big shot. Clayton's wife's going to be there, it sounds like.
That's right. And she's hot, so come out and hit on Clayton's wife.
Oh, God. You're a monster.
Piece of trash.
Tony?
No, just happy to be here.
All right, good.
Yeah, no.
I'm going to be in Chicago all week at Zany's. Come see me. Old Town, and then on Saturday I'm in Rosemont in Chicago, and then Sunday I'm going to the Brewers game. So come find me at the Milwaukee Brewers game.
Chicago is our next. That's the next MVP chapter too.
Really?
Yep. We did a pop up actually with the Bellator because Glazer does Bellator this year.
Yeah.
They came out and filmed something. We had a bunch of vets and like Zach Miller came.
Are you going to be there this week?
Foxy.
Or is
No,
it's not
no,
popping up that
no.
soon? Yeah,
It was
so-
last month, but
that'd be
very
great.
soon we're going to be like weekly in Chicago.
You guys got any
as well.
Cubs?
What's that?
You got any Cubs
I'm,
working?
I'm friends with Schwarbs.
We love him.
He's
Wait,
great.
is he from Cleveland or Chicago?
I actually don't know where.
I think he's from Cleveland. But
Right, because I remember that story, but I couldn't remember if,
He's
the
from
story
America.
was good because he grew up in Chicago and played in Chicago, or if it was great because he was from Cleveland but he was playing
Probably
for
that.
hitting monster balls
He's the best.
for Chicago.
He
He's
sent
great.
me a pair of his American flag shorts.
Yeah.
He wears those in BP every
Oh,
time.
that's amazing.
So when I was at that game, when I was at Wrigley, we did like a tour of the field and stuff, and we were out there while they were taking BP, and we went up to our seats early, and he just like jacked one, right next to me, and I picked the ball up and like tweeted it, and I was like, dude just hit me in American. He's hitting this in American flag shorts, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. And I tweeted me back. He's like, bro, been following your story,
Oh,
man.
that's great.
He's like, I want to send you some shorts, and we just
That's
kept
awesome.
in touch. So
Some
he's a
real
cool dude.
old guys get mad when they make clothes out of American flags and stuff like that. That's like the extremist side.
Yeah.
That's the crazy ones, like a bikini. You're like, dude, that's
Well, yeah, there's the people that have
Yeah.
said like, that's offensive too. I'm like, yeah, but they're wearing it to be like,
Yeah,
I'm proud of this. It's a
intent
little
is-
different,
Yeah,
but whatever.
totally. Well, you're the best. Thanks for being on
That's
here, man.
true.
I appreciate it. This is easily our longest episode
Sorry.
and easily one of my favorite episodes. No.
Easily will be edited to hell.
But the reason the longest is because it's great and we enjoy talking to you.
Cool.
Thanks for being
Thank
here,
you guys.
brother. Yeah,
Good to be here,
appreciate
man.
you.
Good people.
Friendship.
Man, what a great episode. So much fun talking to these guys, and so much fun having Nate here in the house that I have titled Parts Unknown. That's what I'm calling my house now. Big thank you to all the patrons. Big thank you to Revolver Podcast Network. We love you guys. Keep listening. Check out some of the older episodes if you're new to the podcast, and if you've already heard every episode, listen to this one again. Some pretty good stuff in here, not counting Aaron's tasteless jokes. But we love you guys, and we're very, very grateful. Thanks for listening.